teams of the National Hockey League. Live on CTV, Super Series 80. Brought to you by Molson, Canada's name in beer since 1786. Brewers of Molson Export Ale. Teams of the NHL in exhibition with the Soviet Union.
Thursday, December 27th, the Soviet Central Red Army visited New York's Madison Square Garden and were hosted by the Rangers in Game 1 of Super Series 80. Mikhail Varnikov scores his second goal of the game to put the Soviets ahead 2-0 early in the second period, which saw a 5-goal outburst by the Red Army, who came away with a 5-2 victory. Mikhail Varnikov, assisted by his line mates Sfortsov and Kovin.
Buffalo Sabres have the second highest points total in the entire NHL, next to Philadelphia. But the Sabres lead in number of victories. They have 25 so far this season. One reason for their great success has been the play of Gilbert Perreault. The Sabres' all-time leading scorer has 22 goals this season, and he shares the individual scoring lead with team captain Danny Gare. Gare, a native of Nelson, British Columbia, off to a great season. He has 26 goals so far. And Tom Watt, what about the Soviets?
Well, I'll be very interested to watch the big line tonight of Petrov, Mikhailov, and Harmelov, because I think that the Jarvis-Gainey-Houle combination checked them to a standstill the last game, especially Vladimir Petrov. He's one of the most experienced centers in the world, one of the all-time leading scorers in Soviet hockey, and to date in the series of 3 games, he hasn't got a goal. And of course, the captain of the Red Army team and the Soviet national team, Boris Mikhailov, you know, when you've had a loss and you're trying to bounce back, I think you look to the captain for leadership, and they certainly have a great captain in Mikhailov, a great hockey player, and I'm looking to see how well he plays tonight to get them back on the winning streak.
And we're all looking forward to this game tonight here in Buffalo, a capacity crowd on hand, and let's go downstairs to Ron.
All right, gentlemen, and we're all looking forward to this one. The Soviet Central Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres in Game 4 of Super Series 80 will continue in a moment.
Welcome back to Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo, New York. A snowy evening, and we're looking forward to this game tonight between the Sabres and the Soviet Red Army. And now let's pick up the public address introduction. The Central Red Army Club and the Buffalo Sabres. Let us now meet the starting lineup for the Central Red Army. of the Buffalo Sabres. And a thunderous ovation for the Sabres and their coaching staff, Scotty Bowman, Roger Nielsen, and there you see the response from the crowd here in Buffalo. A standing ovation.
Buffalo Sabres and the Central Red Army are all set. We'll return with the opening face-off in a moment.
Welcome back to Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium. The Soviet Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres in first place in the Adams Division. Korab and Schoenfeld will start on defense. And up front for Buffalo, Smith will be at center, flanked by McKegney and Gare. The referee for the game from the Soviet Union, Yuri Karandian. And the two linesmen are Don Koharski and Ron Finn. Tretiak in goal for the Soviets, and Don Edwards gets the starting assignment in goal for Buffalo. The backup goaltender for Buffalo will be Bob Sauvé. Tishnik backing up Tretiak for the Soviet Union. And the big line for the Soviets, Harlamov, Petrov, and Mikhailov will start out, and Babinov making his initial start in this series. He's been out with a knee injury. Babinov will be number 4, and he's teamed on the defense with number 14, Starikov. And the capacity crowd here in Buffalo awaiting the start, and we get the signal now from the referee. Harlamov at center. And the puck is dropped. Back to Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld hooked, couldn't get the puck over the line. It slapped into the Soviet zone. Starikov around the boards. Lead pass now for Petrov. Petrov dumps it in. Schoenfeld broke that up. Slapped in behind the net. McKegney can't get out. There's a shot, and it goes wide. Moving into the corner, Harlamov backhands it. Intercepted by McKegney. Can't get it out now. It's brought out by Smith. Up to Danny Gare, a shot. And that goes over the top of the net. Harlamov couldn't control the puck. It goes to Derek Smith. Into the corner, McKegney right in front. And it's Babinov of the Soviet Union. Up on the right side goes Mikhailov. Tried to get it in, but Harlamov was offside.
Well, it looks like Buffalo have really come out here starting to hit. We had the first hit of the game by Korab, really taking Petrov in hard against the board. Schoenfeld throwing his weight around, Smith throwing his weight around. It looks like they're going to be physical here early in this hockey game.
And we played 48 seconds. Ready now, out there for Buffalo, number 20 is Don Luce. It's cleared back to Richard Dunn. Slaps it off the boards, up on the right side to John Gould. It goes into the Soviet zone. Zlutov, number 22, couldn't control it. Here's Craig Ramsey right in front. And John Gould got a shot that was stopped by Tretiak. Back to Gould. And it's intercepted and cleared out. Back come the Soviets. Moving in is Makarov, right in front of the net, but he couldn't get the pass. Height knocks him against the boards. After it is Gould. He's stopped. Luchenko moves up, but he couldn't get the puck. Kazadanov right on the stick of number 17, Gould. It's over the line. Here's Gould getting set. Moving on in front. And Ramsey couldn't control that pass. Now the Soviets bring it right back out again. On the right side is Makarov. Makarov moving in, getting set for a shot. And Balderas was tied up and couldn't reach the pass. Puck is loose in the Buffalo zone. John Gould goes after it. It's slapped outside the line. Here's a break for Richard Martin. And he couldn't get a shot away. Schoenfeld has it at center. Up on the right side for Carroll. Over to Sealing, but it's offside. Live from Buffalo, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. Look at the Sabre coaching duo. There's Roger Nielsen and Scotty Bowman with the headset on, obviously chatting with the backup coach, Jim Roberts, the assistant.
Well, this is something new that Buffalo's been trying all year, and I talked to Roger before the game, and they like it a great deal. They think it makes a big difference to their hockey team.
There's a shot by Korab that's deflected wide. In behind the Soviet net. There's no score here in the opening period. Now the Soviets bring it out. Coming out is Petrov, and he was stopped. Over the line it goes. With 17:37 remaining in the opening period.
You know, just talking about that headset, Roger was actually saying that what happens now is the players are asking them what went on, who was checking me there, why did they do that, and so on. They're asking them on the bench to get the play from up above to tell them what was really happening on certain plays.
Gilbert Perron against Kovin. Kovin is number 25 for the Soviets. Puck comes out to center, slapped along the boards, and it's now Richard Dunn clearing it into the Soviet zone. Tretiak leaves it there. Kamayev. And that almost backfired. It's cleared out to center. Skvortsev back to the Buffalo line, was stopped there. It goes over to Gamayev. He slaps it off the boards, and the Soviets have it again, and then Gilbert Perron takes it. Perron, watched by Kovin, gets a lead pass ahead for Sealing, and he just lost control of it, and it's shot into the Buffalo corner. Bill Height, number 24, ahead to Sealing. Just deflected it outside the blue line, and it's back to the Soviet line. Babinov. Babinov sent that pass, no one there, and it's Height in his own zone for Buffalo. Height up on the right side to Sealing. Richard Martin comes after it, takes it back inside his own zone, watched by Drozdetsky. Now helping out for Buffalo is Richard Dunn. Here's Dunn to the Soviet line, then lost the puck. Dudley collided with Lobanov and knocked him to the ice. Drozdetsky into the corner after the puck. They slap away for possession. Van Boxmeer pinning it there, and we get a whistle. Red Army defeating the Rangers 5-2. The Islanders 3-2, and then they lost to the Montreal Canadiens 4-2. No score here. In goal for Buffalo is Don Edwards, and the face-off will be to his right. Andre Savard for Buffalo will take this face-off. Alexander Lobanov, number 10 for the Soviet Union. Puck is dropped, goes to Schoenfeld, dropped it back to Jerry Korath. Around the boards, Dudley tries to get it, and it's backhanded to the other side now and brought out. Van Boxmeer tried to get that pass ahead to Andre Savard, and it's brought back by Volkov, and he's knocked to the ice. This is Dudley. Dudley for Buffalo. Up on the left side, intended for Savard, and that was broken up. Schoenfeld moves up for Buffalo. Gives it to Dudley. He shoots right on goal, and Tretiak stopped it. Now it's Starikov. Got the puck outside the line. Korath brings it back for Buffalo. Stopped by Starikov. And Valery Harlamov. Back to Babinov. Babinov, number 4, brings it out for the Soviets. Off the boards into the Buffalo zone. In there quickly for it is Mikhailov, right in front to Harlamov. And he passed it to the Buffalo player, and it's outside the center ice. Dudley slapped away at it. Korath goes after it, and it's taken by Starikov. Up on the left side for Petrov. He lost it. Schoenfeld. It's backhanded out. Here's a chance for Smith. Smith over the Soviet line, but he was all tied up by Petrov. Bill Height at his own blue line. Slapped it ahead to Danny Gare, but Babinov, number 4 for the Soviets. Round the boards. McKegney had trouble with it. Now he bumps, knocks Babinov off stride. Puck goes to the other side. This is Gare. Gare slaps it into the corner. Smith went after the Soviet player. It's shot down the ice, and Height, number 24, races in, and it's icing against the Soviet Union. With the score, Buffalo nothing, the Soviet Red Army nothing. Super Series 80 pauses in a moment. 14 minutes and 37 seconds remain in the opening period. There's no score. Viktor Zlukov at center for the Soviets. There's a shot. Right on goal, taken by John Gould, and Tretiak stopped that. Now it's a chance for Ramsey. Ramsey, number 10, passes it over to Dunn. There's a shot, and hit his own player Gould in front, and the Soviets bring it right back. Balderas lost control of it. Helping out is Zlukov. Zlukov, Kazanatnov gets it into the corner. After it is Height. Height is checked. Balderas clears it in front. That drive taken by Zlukov was wide. Stopped there by the Soviet player. Goes to the other side. Luchenko then slaps at it. Height back into his own zone. Passes it around the boards to Richard Dunn. Dunn just clears it down the ice into the Soviet zone, and Luchenko goes back. Icing is waved off. as Adamov gets it out to center. Now here's a chance for the Soviets going in. Makarov couldn't get a shot. Balderas collided with Van Boxmeer. Comes back to Zlukov, and his shot whistled wide. The Soviets keep it in. Volchenkov tried to get it to Balderas. That shot taken by Zlukov goes wide. Makarov's shot, and that's gloved by Don Edwards. No score in the opening period. Here comes Schoenfeld. Clears the puck to center. Stopped there by Gamayev. Puck bounces around, goes to Makarov. Number 24, Skvortsev cleared it up on the left side. Gets the pass. Here's Skvortsev getting set. His shot is blocked by Schoenfeld. Stopped at the line by Gamayev. Into the corner. Van Boxmeer clears it out. Here's Gilbert Perreault. Perreault coming up for Buffalo over to Martin. His shot. And it missed the net. Van Boxmeer's drive, and that goes wide. And the Soviets bring it right back. Skvortsev to the Buffalo line. He's hammered there against the board. Varnikov sends it in. Kovin backhanded it right to the Buffalo player. Gilbert Perreault sends it back to Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld off the boards to Seeling. He's tied up there by Gamayev right in front. That shot by Varnikov, and Edwards stopped that. Volchenkov loses it. Here's Martin going in. Martin can't get a shot. Backhands it in front, and the Soviets bring it right back. Volchenkov comes out. Tried to get the pass over to Kovin. He lost control of it, and it's slapped out to center ice. Volchenkov. The Soviets having trouble with it. Volchkov will try now. Passes to Drozdetsky. Drozdetsky, number 11, backhands it in. Up to number 14, Starikov, up over the line, and it's taken by Playfair. Here comes Playfair for Buffalo to Danny Gare. Gare's shot, he scores!
That shot handcuffed Tretiak coming from the side, and Danny Gare. Here we see Danny Gare breaking it on the side, being chased by the Soviet forward from quite a bad angle and a long way out. Tretiak sprawling, the puck beat him on the wide side.
Now the Soviets come right back. Drozdetsky got to the Sabres line, was stopped there. Starikov had trouble with it. Now he chases it back into his own corner. Starikov to Babinov, number 4. Dudley went up to check him. It's outside the Soviet line, brought to center. Volchkov fires it in. Number 22 for Buffalo is Ruff. Pass goes to Gare. He couldn't control it. Savard got it outside the line, and now it's back to Babinov. Fired in by Volchkov wide. Ruff, number 22. Now it comes out to Dudley. Here's Dudley for Buffalo. Going over the line with Gare, but lost possession of the puck, and coming right back is Lobanov. A shot off the stick of Bill Height. Now as they go end-to-end the game, Danny Gare couldn't handle that pass. Brought in by Starikov. Here's a chance for Lobanov. Getting set, and Edwards stopped that. Great save by Edwards on Lobanov. Into the corner of Mikhailov. And Edwards again made a big save. McKegney left the puck for Playfair. Cleared outside the line, and it's back to the Soviet line to Starikov. McKegney at center for Buffalo. Backhands, and he was stopped by Starikov. Varlamov just missed the check there. McKegney fires it into the Soviet zone. Brought right back out by Starikov. Cleared over now to Dunn. Dunn, lead pass off the skate of Smith into the Soviet zone. Vladimir Lutenko out to Petrov. Here's Petrov up to the Buffalo line. Drops it back. That attempted shot by Mikhailov, and his stick was lifted before he could get a drive. Now the Sabres get it out. There's a chance now for Gould. Gould going in, a pass in front, and that just failed to click as the Soviets' Harlamov comes right back. Here's Harlamov, a shot. Oh, and that missed by about 3 feet. Slapped to the line, but not out. Now the Sabres get it out, but Petrov comes back in. Torav steals it from him. Over to Dunn. And Dunn finds a spot and just shoots it down into the Soviet zone. Back for it. Gabayev. Got the pass ahead to Makarov. Buffalo Sabres enjoying a 1-0 lead. Gabayev shoots it into the Buffalo zone. A race there. Balderas got there ahead of Ramsey. Now Ramsey takes the loose puck as Korab ran into the Soviet player in behind the Buffalo net. And now Makarov goes back, and he's checked against the boards. Ramsey. Gabayev moves up. Perreault bumps with him. And it's cleared out to center ice. Volchenkov. Over to an open wing. Schoenfeld reaches and just shoots it down the ice. 8 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in the opening period. That pass goes to Balderas. Balderas into the corner, drops it back, and Gilbert Perreault brings it up. Here's Perreault going in with loose a shot, and Tretiak stopped that. Balderas at center. Passed it right onto the stick of Savard. Savard ahead to Richard Martin, offside. From Memorial Auditorium, the Central Red Army and the Sabres in Game 3 of Super Series 80. Well, welcome to the CTV gang, and we hope you're enjoying the telecast across the full network.
Here we have another shot at the goal there. Just a bad angle. Danny Gare breaking in. Tretiak sprawling. There was no reason really to sprawl in that shot. Bad angle. He could have played it with his stick or his skates, but he decided to sprawl and beat him on the wide side.
Danny Gare from Playfair and Dudley at 11:35. The only goal of the game. 7 minutes and 51 seconds left in the opening period.
Well, the game in Montreal certainly had all the emotion, but this game, they've been going end-to-end. There was only 2 stoppages of play from the 14-minute mark to 7:51 here, and they've been going end-to-end. Great goaltending at one end by Edwards, and the players are really moving that puck around well here. I'm really amazed at the pace of the game.
And it's back into the Buffalo zone. This is Rupp slapping it off. Get to the head of Richard Martin. Martin coming up. There's a shot, and Tretiak got a piece of that and deflected it wide. Slapped but not out. Kept in. Richard Martin in front, but he couldn't get a shot. And the Soviets shoot it down. Kovin takes a bump. Savard clears it ahead. Brought out by Rupp. Rupp to the Soviet line. Shoots it in behind the net. Martin goes after it. Bumped against the boards by Kovin. Sealing tried to get it, and the Soviets come right back again. Up over the line. Barnikov in front. Sportsev a shot. And Edwards stopped that. Now it's Andrei Savard, and he shoots it down the ice into the Soviet zone. And back for it, Kazadanov. And it's icing against Buffalo.
Well, the Soviets, according to the board, have only had 4 shots on goal, but of those 4 shots, I would have to say that 3 were cold turkey right there. Soviet player broke into the opening, really tested Edwards. A point-blank shot before. We're going to get another look at it, but here we have coming wide, a little crisscross pattern, cutting right in front of the net. Edwards coming out, going over top of him, trying to jam it in the far side. But of those 4 shots, I'd have to say that 3 were very good opportunities.
And from the draw, the puck goes to Jim Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld, number 6, straight up the middle for Van Boxmeer. Over to Dudley, to Gilbert Perreault, going in, offside. Offside pass. As it originated from the Sabres side of center ice, and Perreault grabbing it inside the Soviet line. Perreault shares the scoring lead on the Sabres with Danny Gare, each with 48 points this season. 6.5 minutes remaining in the opening period. It's 1-0 for Buffalo. This is Playfair, ahead to Dudley. Van Boxmeer shoots it into the Soviet zone, goes in after the puck. Bumped by Luchenko. Gilbert Perreault. Perreault, number 11, in front for Dudley, and that just failed to reach him. Dudley goes after the puck, brought out by Drozdetsky. Drozdetsky, number 11, on the right side. Moving in front, can't get a shot as Perreault hooked him. Dunn falls, and the puck is underneath him with 6:02 left.
Well, it's fair.
From Memorial Auditorium, the Red Army and the Sabres in Game 3 of Super Series 80. Soviets have their big line out there. Harlamov, Petrov, and Mikhailov. Mikhailov wearing number 7. Getting set for the face-off for Buffalo is Derek Smith, along with Gare and McKegney. Puck cleared down into the Soviet zone. A race for it. This is Volchenkov. Touches it, and it's icing against Buffalo. And it comes right back into the Sabre zone to the right of goaltender Don Edwards. Derek Smith, number 19, will take the face-off again against Petrov, number 16 for the Soviets. Two linesmen are Koharski and Finn from the NHL. It's a Soviet referee. Back to the line. Volchenkov's shot is blocked in front. Here comes Gare. Gare gets it out to Schoenfeld. Back to Gare. His shot. And Tretiak makes a stick save on that drive. Slapped off the boards by Volchenkov. Can't get it outside the line. Korab's shot deflected high. Up over the glass and out of play. 27-year-old Tretiak, who has been in all the games in this Super Series 80.
And he probably will play all the games. They don't like to change the goaltenders a great deal, especially when Tretiak is the goaltender. And the player in the tournament in Izvestia in the Soviet Union, he played in all the games except one. Michigan played in that game.
Puck comes back now to Schoenfeld at center. Tried to get it ahead to McKegney. He was stopped. They pin it against the boards. Number 13 for the Soviets, Volchenkov. Red Army have won the national championship of the Soviet Union a total of 22 times. And they're in first place now in the Soviet Major League. Moscow Dynamo are second. Here's a lead pass for Harlamov. In after it, Korab watching him, takes him out of the play. The puck comes back to Volchenkov. Couldn't get a good shot on goal. And the Sabres McKegney. Up to Smith, going in with Gare. Oh, Gare just couldn't control that pass. And the Soviets shoot it right down the ice. Schoenfeld icing against Central Soviet Red Army. Boy, the pace is really something, Tom.
Yes, well, there we get a look at Coach Tikhonov. And, of course, if you watch his hands, just watch, if you see his hand, he keeps a stopwatch in his hand the whole time he's there. Here he's gesticulating here and moving the hands around. But in that one hand, he's got a stopwatch, and he times the shifts. There you see it just in his hand. He makes sure that the players aren't out there too long.
There's the puck back to Dunn. A shot. Tretiak made the save on that long shot from Dunn. Balderas, number 19, at his own line, lost control of it. Gets it back, but passed it right to the Buffalo player. Going in is Gould. Gould trying to get it in front, and the Soviets bring it right back. Balderas. Balderas moving in with Makarov. Getting set in front. A shot, and that deflected just wide of goaltender Edwards. And the Sabres have it again. Up on the right side goes Gould. Drops it back for loose. And it's offside. With the score, Buffalo 1, the Soviets nothing. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. Underway, this is Makarov getting the puck in front. He's knocked off stride. It comes to Babinov. Back to the line. Starakov's shot. And the Soviets have it. Babinov. Babinov into the corner to Makarov. And he's hammered against the boards. And Don Luce has it. Luce trying to get it out. Helped here by Height. Height behind his own net to Richard Dunn. Back to Height. Put it right onto the stick now of Zlukov. And he takes it back to the line. Cleared. Knocked out. And number 22 for the Soviets, Viktor Zlukov. Back to Babinov. 3 minutes, 38 seconds remain in the opening period. Here's Dunn going after it. Along with Kovin, and it's icing against the Soviets again. Danny Gare has scored the only goal of the game. 3:35 left to play in the opening period. Kovin, number 25, at center. Getting into position, he'll take this face-off against Gilbert Perrault. Backhanded up over the glass and out of play. Kovin knocked that before it hit the ice.
Well, Kovin saying that Perrault touched it, knocked out. He wants the face-off outside the line here. He's complaining, but certainly he was the one that got his stick on it, but he wants it outside the line. Oh, here he is again.
Well, Now the linesman Ron Finn skates right back to the blue line, and now Covine gets into position. Perreault has a word with Sealing. Sealing goes into the corner after the puck. Bumped by Luchenko. Still has it. Trying to get it in front. Loose puck. And Tretiak covers up as Perreault was all tied up in front of the net.
Well, Sealing might have had enough room to come right around the net at this point here, because that's one thing the Soviets tend to do. Now here we see the puck along the backboards, controlling it, walking right around. He's got enough room to come out maybe a little further there before he got that shot. We see Tretiak jumping on the rebound.
Dunn comes out on defense now, replacing Korab for Buffalo. Playfair, the other defenseman. Right from the draw, the puck goes to Skvortsov, gets it out. Skvortsov on left wing. Going in with Covine. Into the side, Covine is hooked. And there will be a Buffalo penalty as Covine was hauled to the ice by Richard Martin from Memorial Auditorium. The Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres, Game 3 of Super Series 80.
Good.
And in the penalty box, Martin of Buffalo for hooking.
Well, here we see the crossings, Soviet forwards. Martin trying to get a stick around in front of him, bringing him down into the penalty, first penalty of the hockey game to Richard Martin.
Sabres leading 1-0. They clear the puck into the Soviet zone. Gamayev, number 5, gives it to Petrov. Petrov, number 16. Soviets on the power play. Gets it back to Babinov. Babinov shoots it in. This is Richard Dunn. And he shoots it down the ice as it got by Harlamov. 1:31 remaining in the penalty. Gamayev coming up with Babinov, Petrov, Mikhailov. Up to the line, brings it in. Gamayev passed in front. And here comes Loose. Loose for Buffalo. Going in. A shot. Short-handed goal by Don Luce.
Well, this is what Luce and Ramsey do well. Two of the premier penalty killers in the National Hockey League. We saw Luce just intercept that pass. Gamayev got over the line, tried to throw it across. Here we see Luce breaking. And again, Tretiak doesn't look all that great. Babinov giving him some room. The backhand shot. Sometimes those backhand shots handcuff those goalies. They're not sure where it's going. Here we have another look at it. He's got some room. Babinov backing up. Babinov hitting Luce after the shot. Backhand just catching the far side again on Tretiak.
Don Luce makes it 2-0. Now the Soviets. Makarov brings it out. 1:05 remaining in the Buffalo penalty to Richard Martin. This is Balderas. Stops in the corner. Gets it back to Makarov. Makarov. Kazadanov getting set. He fires it over to Luchenko. It bounced off his stick, and the puck is shot wide. Soviets on the power play. Kazadanov to Makarov. Makarov, number 15, into the corner to Balderas. A shot. Edward stopped that. And it's shot down the ice. 37 seconds remaining in the Buffalo penalty to Martin. This is Slutov coming out. Slutov. And there's a cross-checking penalty coming up, and the Sabres are really upset. Jerry Korab. Martin still has 38 seconds left in his penalty. And Korab goes off for cross-checking.
Well, here we have just off the side of the net, we see Balderas. And the play, Luce making a good play, coming back to take Zhukov in front of the net. There we have the cross-check, knocked him down after trying to jam it in the far side.
1 minute and 51 seconds left in the opening period. The Sabres are 2 men short.
Well, an interesting point here is that the official has let a lot go up to this point, then all of a sudden, a lot of penalties in a short space of time, but he put the whistle in his pocket early in the hockey game.
Ramsey, number 10, steals the puck. And Ramsey was stopped there by Viktor Zlutov. And the Soviets come out again. Kazadanov up on the left side. Balderas gets it back. Babinov, number 4, and he lost the Soviets forced to come back onside. Sabres 2 men short, 15 seconds left in Martin's penalty. Makarov, number 15, passes it over. Kazadanov, back to Babinov. Back to Kazadanov. Kazadanov into the corner. There's a shot. The save off Zlukov. Now let's check on our intermission features, and here's Ron.
First intermission, we'll be looking back almost 4 years to the Soviet Wings Buffalo Sabres, January 4th, 1976. Danny Gare will be joining us, and we'll have a report from Winnipeg on last night's game between the Jets and the Moscow Dynamo.
1 minute and 15 seconds left in the opening period. There are 2 seconds left in Richard Martin's penalty, 1 minute 24 left in the penalty to Korab. Face off in the Buffalo zone to the right of Edwards. And what a job Ramsey's done killing penalties in this game. Zlukov gets it back to Kazadanov. Martin's back on the ice. Zlukov's shot, and it goes wide. Makarov back to Babinov. Over to Kazadanov. Kazadanov had a shot knocked down in front, and it's knocked with a high stick. And the face-off will come outside the line. Right back into the Soviet zone.
Well, a good call by the official. Here we see Balderas coming out, but Zlukov did hit it with a high stick. And when you hit it with the high stick, preventing it from going out, when you have the man advantage, it comes all the way back into your own zone. Here's the shot coming through, and that's not really on the net. He's trying to get it through just off the edge of the net with a little tip in. We just see off the side of the net there, Zlukov hitting the puck with the high stick. Face-off coming all the way back into the Soviet end.
Don Luce against Vladimir Petrov. Petrov in his 13th season with the Soviet Red Army. Back to the line. Schoenfeld shot in front. And Tretiak had to be quick on that drive as it was deflected right in front of his net. We're into the final minute of the opening period. This is Babinov for the Soviet Union. Gets it over to Starikov. Deflected right to goalie Don Edwards. Schoenfeld off the glass. Can't get it out. Babinov moves up, but Ramsey clears it out. Luce goes after it, but Starikov got there first. Starikov behind his own net. 27 seconds left in the opening period. Puck's loose at center. Arlamov cleared it to an open wing. Luce is there and shoots it down the ice. 21 seconds left in the penalty to Korab. 10 seconds left in the period. The Sabres lead 2-0. Here comes Mikhailov. Right up the middle. Back to Petrov. Going in with Harlamov. Cleared it over. The first period is over. And a thunderous ovation from the capacity crowd here at Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo. So the score at the end of the first period, Buffalo 2, the Soviets nothing. Live from Buffalo, Super Series 80.
Well, the Buffalo Sabres lead this hockey game by a score of 2-0. We have to go back to the very first time that the Buffalo Sabres ever played a Soviet team. That's 4 years ago, less a day, January 4th, 1976. And it turned out to be a shootout. The Wings of the Soviet were the team. At that time, they were the number 2 team in the Soviet Union. And they had come into North America and had beaten the Pittsburgh Penguins in their first game just before New Year's. They came into the Buffalo Auditorium following that. And this is what happened. It was just an incredible hockey game. Incredible because of the way the scoring went in the game. It was just a shootout, as it turned out. The Sabres outshot the Wings by a score of by a 46-21 margin, and that was just the beginning. The Sabres opened the scoring at 6:10. Gabremont scoring, then Perreault, and then Martin, and it was 3-0 with 3 goals in the span of 5 minutes of playing time. The Sabres had a great power play going in this game. They had 6 power play chances in the game. They scored 5 power play goals. Look at that move. This is the way it went as they moved the puck around tremendously all night long. Richard Martin scored 2 goals in the game. Here you see Martin cutting across in front of the goal mouth and putting it in for one of those 2. Stanfield assisting on that one. Repniev, that was the 3rd goal for the Sabres. Repniev then scored for the Wings from Shalamov and Yakushev. A lot of the names, of course, no longer around Soviet hockey. Times do change. There's the goal by the Soviets. Their first in the game that made the score 3-1. But then Richard Martin scored an unassisted goal. Final score in the game, Buffalo 12, the Soviet Wings 6, as you see it. Here's Martin stealing the puck in front, cutting across in front, getting set, and then finding the top corner. And the Sabres were on the board again, making it 4-1, still in the first period. That came at the 14:23 mark. Kapustin here from Kotov. The end of the first period, in which the Sabres outshot the Wings 17-9. The Sabres held a 4-2 lead. There's the goal coming up. Kapustin getting it to the side of the net and putting it in. Sabres used 2 goaltenders in the game. Alexander Sidelnikov, the #1 goaltender. He played 56 minutes of the game and gave up 10 goals. And Kilikov played the final 3:54 of the game. That's Lawrence scoring. And on it went. Final score again, 12-6. I don't know whether we're going to have that kind of a thing again tonight, but certainly, first of all, Danny Gare is with us, captain of the Sabres. And Danny, congratulations on a good period of hockey. Any particular game plan coming into this one?
Well, the main thing was to try and bottle them up. They're a great skating and passing club, and if any time, they get skating and passing, you're in trouble. And one of the things we wanted to make sure was to keep them bottled up in this arena, which isn't as big as their European ice surfaces, and this is what we talked about.
The center ice area, I think, is the big difference here. Not only for teams coming over from the Soviet Union and Europe, but also NHL teams. It's a much narrower area, I think by about 10 feet or so.
Very much so. I've never had the opportunity to play on a European ice surface, but I know that, from the past experiences watching them on TV and seeing the European games, that they are a lot bigger. And this arena here is especially a little bit smaller than the normal rink size as the Forum in Montreal or in Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. But we're adjusted to it, so we feel comfortable with it. And maybe it's, giving them a problem. I hope it is.
Let's harken back to that game 4 years ago. Would you have ever, thinking as you probably were going into this game, that you were going to get 12 goals against these guys?
No, not at all. Not at all. We knew that at the time they were a fine hockey team, and we had to be prepared against them. And even though we gave up 6 goals, it was nice to get 12 against them because we were a very offensive-minded club there, and the last year, this past year, we've been changing our style a bit and being a little more defensive. But as long as we win the game, that's an important thing.
You got a couple of goals in that game too, and I think that was the year you scored 50 goals. Yes.
No, it was a good year for me. I've had a few problems in the past with my back, but it's been coming along a lot better, and I feel pretty good about it.
Boy, you're just having a great year this year. Is the back completely healed now?
I've been on a good stretching program, and I'm trying to make sure that it's relaxed as much as possible, and it feels good.
Let's talk about the goal. You had about 3 good chances in that period, as a matter of fact. But the goal was a beauty. You got that good wrist shot away.
Well, we felt that if we got some shots on Tretiak earlier, because maybe he had a little trouble in Montreal when we watched the game on the films. And Derek and Tony, have been playing very well with me. Derek Smith and Tony McKigney, and we seem to be moving the puck well. But I think on the play, it started in our own zone where Dudley moved it up to Larry Playfair, and I was on the far side wide, and he just gave me the puck at my favorite spot, and that's wide, and I just went wide and let go of I think it went in between his legs, but it might have been screened a bit because it went in between the goaltender's legs.
You really like to use that wrist shot?
Well, I'm a little guy, so it's a little harder for me to lift it all the way back for the slap shot, so the wrist shot, it's a little easier for me. I had lots of practice. My father gave me a lot of practice with it.
Very effective. What's the difference in this team with Scotty Bowman around? Do you see a difference in the atmosphere at all?
Well, I feel that, Scotty has brought in his confidence, his respect, and intensity into the game that, maybe and direction that we may have lacked a little bit in the past. And he's a man with Roger and Jimmy that, the three of them, they cover a lot of ground. And with them, it makes a difference as far as our team is concerned, because I felt that we've always had a good nucleus. It's just a matter of getting the right direction, getting everybody to play up to potential.
Well, you're certainly doing it tonight, and just keep the intensity up. You're going to need it.
We've got 2 more periods to go, and I'd like to say hello to everyone back home.
In Nelson?
Yeah, in Nelson.
Right. Danny Gare, captain of the Sabres, who has one of the 2 goals for Buffalo as they lead this game 2-0. Our first intermission of Game 4 of Super Series 80 will continue in a moment.
Well, they call this the Super Series, and really it is a Super Series in that the top two teams from the Soviet Union are playing here against National Hockey League teams. We're seeing, of course, the #1 team, the team from the Soviet Central Red Army, live on CTV, but there's another segment of this series as well. Moscow Dynamo, who at this moment, after 25 games of the regular schedule in Europe, are just 4 points behind the Central Red Army. The Central Red Army traditional winners. They've won it the last 4 years over in the Soviet Union. Well, they've been playing, and they played 2 NHL teams so far. They lost to the Vancouver Canucks in the opening game of the series, then played 3 games against Canada's Olympic team. 2 wins and a tie for the Olympians in that one, a bit of a shock. But they came back in Winnipeg last night, and Peter Young has the full story on the game at the Winnipeg Arena.
Coming off their losses to the Canadian Olympic team last week, the Soviets were raked over the coals by Boris Myrov, the president of the USSR Ice Hockey Federation, and they responded immediately. Vladimir Semenov giving them a 1-0 lead in the first period.
Quiet, please.
They then added 3 more unanswered goals in the second. Yuri Lebedev beats Jet netminder Lindsay Middlebrook to make it 2-0. 3 Soviet national team members combined for their 3rd goal. Vladimir Golikov and Vasily Pervukin setting it up. Alexander Maltsev tipping it in from in front. Yaramel replaced Middlebrook in the Jets' goal, but the story didn't change. Winger Peter Pirodin set up 3 straight goals, the first by Alexei Frolikov on a 2-on-1 break. The first shot hits the goalpost. The second leaves the Jets' goaltender helpless. Then, midway through the 3rd period, Pirodin and Mikhail Slipchenko pass across the front to Vladimir Golubovich, and it was 5-0 for Dynamo. 3 minutes later, Pirodin set up Deviatov to make it 6-0, and the 15,000 fans started booing the disorganized Jets and cheering for the Soviets. Finally, Maltsev sets up Vladimir Golikov as Dynamo beats the NHL's most easily shutout team, 7-0, outshooting the Jets 41-18. Peter Pirodin was chosen the Soviet star of the game. Lindsay Middlebrook voted that honor for the Jets. This is Peter Young reporting.
Well, so far as that series out there is concerned against the NHL, the Moscow Dynamo team is 1-1. And overall, in what is a 9-game Super Series, the count right now is 3-2 favor the Soviet Union, with the Buffalo Sabres, as we mentioned, leading this hockey game by a score of 2-0. So far as the Dynamos are concerned, they're going to play tomorrow night in Edmonton and follow that one up with a game in Washington on the 8th of January. The Central Red Army, after this game, will play Sunday in Quebec City in their 5th and final game of the series. So it's going to be interesting right down to the wire by the looks of it in this Super Series 1980. Live from Memorial Auditorium, the Central Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres. Well, here in the intermission studio, we've got Tom Watt with us, making the long climb down from the attic here at the auditorium in Buffalo. Quite a first period of play, I would have to say.
Well, I thought the pace was excellent. I thought that it was reminiscent of the game in Montreal the other night. I think it featured some great goaltending on Edwards' part. He only had 6 shots. They were outshot 10-6 in that period, but I think that the 6 shots that he had, 4 of them were point blank, and I thought that he handled them very, very well. But on the other hand, I thought that Tretiak didn't look all that good. The shots that he had, both Gare's goal, when Gare broke in from the side, I thought he had time to come out and cut off the angle, and for some reason he sprawled on the shot, and I didn't realize that there was any need to. Here we have the start of the play, moving out of the Buffalo zone. We have the long pass. Here we have Gare getting it. Looks quite innocent. Here's the Soviet winger on the inside, the defenseman backing up. Bad angle, bad side. Now, why is Tretiak down at this point? I mean, there was no reason to sprawl. He could have played the puck with his skate, but it was in. Now, here we have on the penalty, we see the Soviet power play. We see Balderas at the side of the net, and watch Loose here killing the penalty. You see him taking Zhluktov in front of the net, but there we have the cross-checking of Korab in front of the net, and it made the Buffalo team too short at this point when they already had the power play. But Buffalo has done an excellent job when they're shorthanded. Of course, that's one of the things that Ramsey and Loose specialize in, and the fans just love it when Loose and Ramsey are out there buzzing and keeping the Soviets off guard.
I was going to say a lot of credit isn't given to Ramsey and Loose on this hockey club. They do a tremendous job and are some of the best penalty killers in the National Hockey League.
Well, Loose, every time he gets the puck here when they're short, the fans just love it. And you know, when you are killing a penalty, or you do a good job killing a penalty, it gives everybody on the hockey team a lift. Just like you score a goal, or just like certain things come to change around a game, when you do a good job in a couple of penalties, kill them, the opposition doesn't look bad or doesn't look very good, and they get a little upset, it gives your team a lift when you're on the bench. And I think Ramsey and Loose do that for their own hockey club.
Short-handed goal, of course, course, by Luce was just, I think, lifts anybody. Of course, they were leading at the time, but still.
Well, one thing that the Soviet, the defenseman, I believe it was Gamayev, took it over the blue line, and he gained the blue line with the puck when they had the man advantage. He tried to throw it rink wide right across, and Ramsey was able to, Luce was able to jump in and intercept it. Here we have him. He's already intercepted the pass. He's moving in over the blue line. A backhand just in front of Babinoff, and again, the far corner, and we see Tretiak sprawling again. Really no reason to do it. Now here we have the first penalty, really, when Richard Martin pulled the Soviet man down. That was the first penalty of the hockey game, and I thought that the Soviet official early in the game probably could have called a lot more. He just put the whistle in his pocket, but it wasn't until the late stages of the period that he called the penalties.
Okay, with the score 2-0 Buffalo, this is Super Series 80, live from Buffalo.
This is Bernie Pascal back at Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo. And as we start the second period, Jerry Korab has 9 seconds remaining in his penalty. Tretiak in goal for the Soviets. UCKA on the sweaters, in case you're interested, stand for Central Soviet Club Army. And Tretiak, 27 years of age, had 10 shots in that opening period from the Sabres, and 2 shots beat him. Gare and Luce have scored the goals. The second period is underway. The Soviets bring it right back in. Mikhailov trying to get the pass over to Petrov, and the Sabres break that up as Korab returns to the ice, and the Sabres are back at full strength. This is Petrov over to Harlamov. Harlamov puts on the brakes, a shot, and it goes wide of goaltender Edwards. Brought out now by the Sabres, just slapped off the boards and cleared to center ice. Harlamov going back in with Mikhailov. Harlamov in front, rolled the puck, and it's intercepted by Danny Gare. Gare, the Sabres captain, up on the left side. McKegney going in, a shot, and Tretiak stopped that, and McKegney is hammered against the boards by Babinoff. Great scoring opportunity there. McKegney set up perfectly, but Tretiak moved out, cut down the angle, and made the save. Face-off will be to the right of Tretiak. And the Sabres use this opportunity to change. Luce comes out now with Ramsey and John Gould. Korab and Schoenfeld are on defense. Comes right back now to Schoenfeld, and it got away from him. Cleared into the Soviet zone. Luchenko, number 3, bumped against the boards by John Gould. Cleared to the line. Korab shoots it right back into the corner. Kazadanov, number 21 for the Soviets, lost it. Here's a chance for Gould. Tried to get it in front, then decided to send it the other way. And it's shot down the ice, stopped there by Jim Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld backhands it into the Soviet zone. Kazadanov backhands it, but not out. Stopped by Ramsey. Into the corner to Luce. And Luce is tied up by Kazadanov. Gets the puck again. Kazadanov goes after him. Ramsey in front. Slapped at it, and Zlutov brings it out for the Central Red Army. Up on that right side, Makarov. He drops it over to Bolchenkov. A rolling puck just goes by Edwards. Ramsey couldn't handle the pass. Kazadanov put it right onto the stick of Gould. Gould gets it up the middle. Ramsey knocked against the boards. Luce goes after the puck, but there first is Colvin. Colvin coming out for the Soviets. A pass to Barnikov. Barnikov, who had 2 goals in the game against the Rangers. Shot it into the corner. The Soviet player slips and falls. Here comes Sealing. Sealing brings it out now, going in with Richard Martin. Sealing's backhander stopped by Tretiak. And it's caught in the meshing, and we get a whistle.
Well, that's the second time that Tretiak seems to have had a little trouble in the backhand, and the player breaking in around the side of Sealing broke in behind, and it seemed like 2 Soviet defenders took the first man. He broke in behind. The backhand seemed to handcuff Tretiak for a moment, and then went to the back of the mesh.
Ready now, Gilbert Perreault against Vladimir Colvin. Bolchenkov is chased out of the face-off circle. Here's Martin's backhander, goes wide. Perreault in front. Puck is loose. The Soviet player Gamayev was draped all over in front, and no penalty. Perreault shoots it into the corner. Covine, bumped by Martin, and it's held there long enough to get a whistle from the Soviet referee, Karandian.
Well, there we see Richard Martin. He's taking a look over at the Soviet official. He can't believe it on the first one because he was just dumped and pulled right down, and then he took a run at the Soviet player in the corner. His stick was a little high, but I guess he figured the Soviet official was going to forget about both of them and not call anything, and that was the way the first period started, that he didn't call anything. He let a lot of things go early in the period.
Puck is dropped. Here's Martin going after it. Just lost it before he could get a shot. Goes over to Sealing. Sealing in the corner. Gets it back to Korab. He was checked by Volchkov. Martin passes back to Jim Schoenfeld. The Sabres lead 2-0. Up on the left side goes Perreault. And Babanov takes the puck from him. In behind his own net to Starikov. Starikov, a pass. Perreault knocked that down. Here comes Martin. Going in with Sealing. Sealing back to Martin. A shot. And it goes wide. And the Soviets bring it right back. Volchkov at center. Volchkov to the Buffalo line. He stopped there. And Starikov, number 14, shoots it. Stopped at the line. Brought out by Sealing. Sealing for Buffalo. Going in with Martin and Perreault. Perreault in the corner. Lost it to Babanov. Babanov for the Soviets. And they just shoot it down the ice. Korab. Lobanov going after it. That's at the side of the net. Volchkov right in front. Oh, what a save by Edwards. As Drozdetsky was set up right in front.
Well, here we get another look at it, but Edwards is really upset, and so is Korab there, because they feel they're going to talk the linesman that what happened there, should have been an icing call, and everybody stopped a little bit. When the puck came right out in front of the net, the shot came away. Edwards really was alert on it, but he thought it was going to be an icing call, as did Korab.
16 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second period. Petrov gets it back to Harlamov. Back to the line, a shot. That's stopped by Edwards. Harlamov chases it into the corner. Here's Harlamov dropping it back to Luchenko. Luchenko's shot. Edwards makes the save. And Danny Gare shoots it down the ice into the Soviet zone. Here's McKegney going after it. Tretiak out of the net to Luchenko. Stolen by Gare. A shot. McKegney on the rebound. And Tretiak covers up in front. 2-0 Buffalo. Live from Buffalo, this is Super Series 80 on CTV.
Well, here we have Gare just heading the opportunity, and McKegney just, here's the original shot coming from Gare, and the puck comes right out, and McKegney just didn't get all the wood on it that he wanted to. Tretiak sprawling stops the shot, but the original shot came on the side from Gare. Very dangerous again.
And the face-off, Derek Smith against Petrov. Puck slapped over to Harlamov. He couldn't reach it, though. Luchenko to Kazadanov. Up the middle to Petrov. Petrov to Harlamov. Harlamov on that left wing gets a shot, but it misses the target. Petrov in the corner. Drops it right in front, and the Sabres break that up. McKegney trying to get it back to Danny Gare at center. Derek Smith knocks it back to the Soviet line. Kazadanov got it over to Mikhailov. Stolen by Gare and shot into the Soviet zone. Kazadanov bumped against the boards. McKegney in front. Here's John Gould, and he backhands it into the corner. McKegney rolls it in front. Gould and Tretiak goes up in the air and grabs it with Petrov in front of the net.
Well, that looked like a jump ball here. We just started the tip-off, didn't we there? But Tretiak was up to kill the puck, because it could have dropped quite dangerously down behind him, but he was up first with his glove to get the face-off.
Both teams are at full strength. We've played 4 minutes and 46 seconds here in the second period. Balderas slaps the puck out to center. Height, number 24, goes after it. Checked by Balderas, and it's brought right back in by Volchenkov. He shoots it into the Buffalo zone. Around the boards to John Gould. Gould is bumped by Gamayev. Now trying on the other side for Buffalo is Ramsey. Passed it right in front. Here comes Gould. Gould gets it out. Sabre player Loose is knocked down as he was checked by Zlutov. Makarov. Bumped by Height. Puck rolls into the corner. Gould. Balderas knocks against him along with Height. And we get a whistle. 2 first-period goals by Buffalo, one by Danny Gare. He's been hot of late. 6 goals in his last 3 NHL games. He has 26 goals for the Sabres this year.
Well, there we see the first little play where the Buffalo Sabre player was dumped, and the fans not too happy. They're the Soviet official again, letting it go.
Covine, number 25, getting set. Gilbert Perreault at center for the Buffalo Sabres with Martin and Sealing. Now Varnikoff moves in to take the face-off. Perreault and Covine were chased out. Sealing against number 26, Varnikoff. Linesman Koharski telling the players to get into position. Now the Soviet referee Karandian gets there and talks to them. Okay, we're set. The puck rolls to Don Edwards. Covers up quickly. He tried to get it to Schoenfeld, but got it tied up in his glove. Roger Nielsen, associate coach of the Sabres. They were studying films before this game.
Well, actually, yes. When I went to talk to Scotty and Roger before, they wanted me to drop in and see. They had some of the outs from the game in Montreal, some of the highlights of the game, and they were just going to show them to the players before the hockey game began. But you see Scotty there with the headset on. Jimmy Roberts is up in the booth tonight.
Perreault against Covine. Perreault drops it back to Schoenfeld. Behind his own net. Up to Richard Martin. Martin, a long pass intended for Sealing. Intercepted by Covine, a shot. And Schoenfeld slopped that. Sealing gets it out to center. The Soviets bring it right back. This is Skvortsev. Skvortsev dropping it back. And Covine couldn't get a drive. And here comes Sealing. Sealing going in with Schoenfeld. Drops it to Schoenfeld, a shot. And that just goes wide of goaltender Tretiak. We've played exactly 6 minutes in the second period. Gilbert Perreault behind the net. Sealing trying to get possession of the puck, and it goes over to Starikov. Along the boards to Skvortsev. Now he sends it back to Babinov. Around the board, Van Boxmeer moves up, a shot, and that was off the mark. Skvortsev. Now Luchenko gets it ahead to Starikov, a long shot. That deflected off Schoenfeld and goes wide. The Soviet player Skvortsev. He's bumped by Playfair. The puck comes to center. Winding up now, number 10 is Lobanov. Lobanov for the Soviets. Has Drozdetsky out there. He's flattened in front of the net, and the Sabres have possession. Now it's blocked back to Luchenko. Luchenko's shot, that's blocked by Van Boxmeer. Van Boxmeer then pinned against the boards by Drozdetsky. Gilbert Perreault got it. It was knocked with a high stick.
Well, we're going to get another look here at the hit by Schoenfeld, and this is what Schoenfeld and the big defenseman from Buffalo does very well. Here he is playing one-on-one, looks right at the man's body, just takes him down. That hurt, I'll tell you that. But he looked at his body the whole way, didn't look at the puck, just a tremendous body check. And I think that the Soviets have great respect for the likes of Schoenfeld and Korab, who have been throwing their weight around all night. And I think that they have the Soviet team with their heads up for the majority of the time because they really have been laying on the body.
And Lobanov, number 10, was the one that Schoenfeld hit, and he's at center now for this face-off. Volchkov and Drozdetsky, the other forwards for the Soviets. 13 minutes and 2 seconds left in the second period. The Sabres leading 2-0. This is Korab. Korab gets it up on the left side. Brought in by Dudley. That shot by Van Boxmeer is grabbed by Tretiak. With the score, the Sabres 2, the Soviets 0. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. We're back at Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium. Bernie Pascal with Tom Watt and Ron Roosh. The Sabres leading 2-0 on first period goals. One by Danny Gare, the other by Lutz. Now it's Luchenko. Slaps it around the boards. Drozdetsky gets it out. Lobanov goes after it. Couldn't control the puck though, and the Sabres have it again. Over to Van Boxmeer. And he backhands it into the Soviet zone. It goes right to Luchenko. Luchenko ahead to Volchkov. Up on that right side goes Drozdetsky, but the Buffalo player Ruff was back to knock him off stride. Dudley in the corner. Cleared to an open wing. Luchenko moves after it, stops it right at the line, keeps it in. Drozdetsky back to Volchkov in front. They slap away at it. Lobanov tried to get it, and the Sabres clear it back to the Soviet zone. Kazadanov up the middle. Away goes Mikhailov. Harlamov trying to catch up to it, and Danny Gare got there ahead of Harlamov. Back to the line. There's a drive by Gamayev, and that's stopped and shot back down the ice into the Soviet zone. Gamayev goes down after it. And an icing call against Buffalo. Minutes and 50 seconds left in the second period. Danny Gare, number 18, the Buffalo Sabres captain, has a word with his centerman, Smith. Derek Smith, number 19. Puck comes back. Harlamov's shot hit a skate and goes wide. Volchenkov, his shot hit the side of the net. Players collide in the corner. The puck goes loose, and Smith has it. Here's Smith for Buffalo to Danny Gare. Gare lost possession. Mikhailov a shot, and Edwards stopped that. Height brings it back now for Buffalo. Up to McKegney, to Danny Gare. Gare backhands it over to Smith, and he in turn backhands it into the Soviet zone. Gare collides with Gamayev and knocks him against the boards. And there will be a penalty. Indian, the Soviet referee. From Memorial Auditorium, the Central Red Army and the Sabres in Game 3 of Super Series 80.
Well, there we see the Soviet captain, Boris Mikhailov, who is off with Danny Gare. Here we see Gamayev going into the corner, just taking a tremendous check from McKegney. But the sticks get a little high in the corners. They come off. There's no penalty on that play. Here it occurs right here. First of all, Gare going in, and with Mikhailov against the boards, and they're both going off.
11 minutes remaining in the second period. And the Soviets have it in their own zone. Buffalo player Ramsey got a piece of it, but it's brought out by Makarov. Out to Balderas. Balderas passes it in front. Going after it was Starikov, and he just failed to connect with that pass. Height now back for Buffalo. Height passes it over on the right side. Loose. Over to Richard Dunn. Dunn dumped by Babinoff, but Loose shoots it in. Offside.
Well, just before the offside play, we saw Starikov moving up, and this is one thing the Soviets do. When you're each a man short, when you're playing 4-on-4, with the exception of the goaltenders, they don't mind moving their defenseman right up to try and create the odd man situation, especially when they're down 2 goals. They throw everything to offense. They're not, those defensemen aren't just staying back there, and they tried to create the 3-on-2 with Starikov just moving them right up as if he was a wingman along with the 2 forwards.
This is Schoenfeld now for Buffalo, trying to get the pass to Ramsey, intercepted by Helmut Balderas. Balderas, number 19, back into his own zone. Each team a man short. Now a pass goes to Starikov. He's tripped as he got over the Buffalo line, and the Sabres dump it out to center. Makarov, 21-year-old speedster. He's checked by Schoenfeld, and Schoenfeld will get a penalty as he knocked Makarov heavily to the ice.
Well, the call is roughing, and Makarov, who is only 21 years old and one of the bright young lights of the Soviet team, we're going to get another look at it. He gets up on his own steam there, but he took a tremendous check. Here he is. He makes a little move to the outside and comes back to the inside. Well, whoops, there it is. Gets the high stick. Called roughing at that point from Schoenfeld. We get one look at it again. Went to the outside, come back to the inside. Schoenfeld seemed to get him with his right arm and hand, maybe a little bit of the stick when he's in there, but the call is roughing to Schoenfeld.
10 minutes and 3 seconds left in the second period. Gare has 47 seconds remaining in his penalty. Mikhailov likewise 47, and now Schoenfeld is in the penalty box. The face-off will be in the Buffalo zone to the left of Don Edwards.
Well, both of the coaches here looking for a little one-upsmanship. Buffalo Sabres came over to their bench to talk to Scotty Bowman and Roger Nielsen, and then Tikhonov, he called the Soviet team over, and they had little conflabs and so on. The officials trying to get them to the face-off circle, but they weren't able to get them there too quickly.
Makarov will take this face-off for the Soviets. against Ramsey. Puck is dropped. Ramsey wins the draw, and it's shot down the ice into the Soviet zone. Back forward is Kazadanov. Kazadanov, number 21, leading a Soviet attack to Balderas. Here's Balderas on the right wing. Back to Kazadanov. Going in with Makarov and Babanov. Here's Babanov. Drops it back to Kazadanov. Kazadanov getting set. Back to Babanov. Babanov fakes a shot. Back to Kazadanov. Kazadanov. Back to Babanov. There's a shot. Edwards stopped it. Kazadanov bumped by Height, and Jerry Korat clears it off the glass. Ramsey is bumped by Babanov, but gets the puck out. 5 seconds remaining in the penalties to Gare and Mihailov. 1:17 remaining in Schoenfeld's penalty. Here's Babanov going in for the Soviets. Babanov behind the net, right in front, and it's knocked down and comes to the line, but not out. Babanov shoots it into the corner. Over to Mihailov. Mihailov getting set, and that's knocked down. He gets the rebound, and he's shot wide. Kazadanov inside the line. Back to Babanov. Babanov fakes over to Mihailov, and his shot went right through the crease. Nobody there. Gare couldn't get it out. Here's Babanov getting set. A shot, and it's deflected just wide. Balderas got away from Height. Off the boards to Kazadanov. 30 seconds left in the penalty. Comes over to Makarov. Makarov, number 15. Back to Babanov. Babanov's shot, and that's deflected wide. Kazadanov off the boards. Mihailov back to Kazadanov. Getting set. There's a shot. Edwards stopped it. Mihailov the rebound, and he backhanded it over to the other side. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Mihailov shot off Height, up over the glass and out of play. Live from Buffalo, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. While the Sabres are still receiving a thunderous ovation after some great penalty killing.
And so they should, because it was just a classic confrontation. The Soviets just controlled the puck very, very well, moved the puck around that zone. Buffalo held their positions, played very disciplined hockey. Here we see one of the pucks coming back to the point, moved to the far point. There we see them out. They've inverted their triangle at this point. They've got the 2 men at the top and 1 at the bottom. Everybody backing one another up. Now we're at the point where they're only 1 man short, but here we have classic play. There's the shot being blocked. Again, the puck is thrown across, and we had a great block just at the end of that series by Height.
3 seconds left in the penalty to Schoenfeld, and he steps on the ice. And the Sabres have successfully killed off the penalty. They lead 2-0. Puck is into the Soviet zone. Gamayev, number 5. Gilbert Perreault checks him. The puck goes to Volchenkov. Volchenkov up on the right side. Drozdetsky shoots it in, and it's backhanded out by Richard Dunn down the ice. Gamayev back into his own zone. 7 minutes and 35 seconds left here in the second period. Schoenfeld trying to get the lead pass to Richard Martin. Off his stick, and it's brought right back out by Drozdetsky. Stopped at center, but Lobanov shoots it into the Buffalo zone. Dunn behind his own net. Off the boards, it's intercepted, a shot, and Dunn is over quickly to get that. Back to the line. Puck goes in front, and the Sabres have it again. Dunn clears it ahead. Martin going in with Sealing and Perreault. Oh, and Tretiak got a piece of that shot from Gilbert Perreault.
Well, the Soviets have changed their style of forechecking, trying to put a little more pressure. They're moving their defensemen up to try and forecheck inside the Buffalo zone. It was tipped by him at the blue line to create the 2-on-1 opportunity. We see Gamayev getting caught. Puck tipped by him. That creates the 2-on-1 with Richard Martin throwing it across to Perreault. The shot, good stop by Tretiak going low. The 2-on-1 being created by that Soviet defender pressing up at his own blue line.
7 minutes and 1 second left in the second period. Buffalo Sabres leading 2-0. Derek Smith out there at center for Buffalo. The puck rolls back to Danny Gare, a shot, and Tretiak stopped that. Here comes Harlamov, up with Mihailov, up over the line. Harlamov's weak shot, and he was well covered by defenseman Richard Dunn. Luchenko's shot, that missed by about 3 feet. McKegney slaps it off the boards to center to Gare. Gare going in with Smith, rolled it in front, and the Soviets break that up. Luchenko to Mikhailov at center. Over to Harlamov. Harlamov getting set a shot, and that was off the target. And it comes all the way down the ice into the Soviet zone. Luchenko, number 3. He was 31 yesterday, celebrated a birthday here in Buffalo. Luchenko. Now it's up on that right side. Mikhailov going in with Harlamov and Petrov. Taken out of the play by Schoenfeld, who shoots the puck out. 6 minutes remaining in the second period. Here's Petrov over the line, offside. With the score, Buffalo 2, the Soviets nothing. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. Gilbert Perreault at center has Dudley on the right side and Richard Martin on the left side on this line now. 25 for the Soviets is Kovin. Dudley goes after it, backhands it to Korab, lifts it high at the Soviet line, delayed offside, now it's waved off. Starakov. Is stolen by Perreault. Gilbert Perreault, number 11 for Buffalo. Cleared it over to an open wing. Martin's after it quickly, gets it in front, and the Soviet player Skvortsov has it. Skvortsov backhands it. Martin knocked it down, stops at the line. Perreault brought it in. Now it's up to number 26, Barnikov. Over to the opposite wing to Skvortsov. And the Soviets have trouble getting a rush going. Labanov ducked as that shot almost hit him. 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the second period. The Soviets get it out. Kovin backhands it into the Buffalo corner. This is Korab, number 4. Korab ahead to Richard Martin. Martin stopped by Babanov, but gets the puck again and clears it outside the blue line. Kovin is bumped. Puck goes back to Gamayev. Gamayev trying to get that lead pass ahead to Kovin, failed to click. Ruff, number 22. Here's a chance for the Soviets in front, and it's knocked away and brought out by Perreault. Perreault got to the line, stopped there. Martin going up with Dudley, and the Soviets break that up. Gamayev gets a lead pass out, and it's knocked back outside the line and in again on the offside. From Memorial Auditorium, the Central Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres, Game 3 of Super Series 80. And the Soviet coach, Tikhonov, looking on, obviously very concerned, as the Sabres lead 2-0. Puck is backhanded around the boards. 4 minutes and 24 seconds left in the second period. This is Luchenko. Cleared it to an open wing. Kazadanov catching up to it, though, and then backhands it down the ice into the Buffalo zone. Height gets the puck ahead, intercepted by Zluktov. Ramsey goes after it, but Zluktov has it for the Soviets to Luchenko. Back to Kazadanov. Kazadanov straight up the middle. In goes Zluktov. A long shot stopped by Don Edwards. Dunn off the boards, and it's cleared down the ice. Luchenko backhands it. Kazadanov gets it up on the left side. Balderas knocked against the boards by Height. They pin the puck there and get a whistle. And now let's go downstairs. Here's Ron Root.
The highlights of the New Year's Eve game, won by the Canadians 4-2. We'll have a full highlight package of that game coming up on our second intermission. We'll also be talking with the associate coach of the Buffalo Sabres, Roger Nielsen, and Tom Watt will be back with highlights and analysis of this second period of play.
3 minutes and 43 seconds left in the second period. Both goals scored in the first period. Lobanov has knocked off the puck. Schoenfeld of the Sabres trying to get out. Drozdetsky checks him. Now it's cleared by Van Boxmeer, but he was stopped by Lobanov, and they get it right back into the corner and get another whistle.
Well, I feel now that Buffalo Sabres are going to get a few more of those 2-on-1 opportunities that we saw Richard Martin have, because the Soviets have changed their forechecking and they're really pressing up at the Buffalo blue line with their defensemen, and almost just before we had the face-off inside the zone, the puck was tipped by them to create the 2-on-1 opportunities, but they're taking chances now.
Here's Schoenfeld going after the puck for Buffalo. Up the middle for Savard. Got away from him. And Starakov slaps it. Can't get it out. Savard, number 12. Knocked against the boards by Lobanov. And now the Soviet player Starikov tried to get it on that right wing side. It was intercepted. Volchenkov is stopped. The Sabres come right back in, but it's offside at the Central Red Army blue line. The third televised game on CTV, and of course Sunday we'll bring you the game between Quebec Nordique and the Soviet Red Army. Sabres lead this one 2-0. It's brought in by Lobanov. Lobanov lost possession. Playfair off the glass, and the Sabres get it out to center. Starikov for the Soviets to Lobanov. Lobanov winding up. Coming in now with Drozdetsky. The puck is deflected into the corner. Volchkov is all tied up, and the Sabres get it out to center ice. Dudley couldn't catch up to it. Lobanov, number 10 for the Central Red Army, drops it back to Volchenkov. Playfair shoots it right back into the Soviet zone. They're doing an excellent job of tying up the Soviets. This is Smith in behind the net. Pinned there by Volchenkov. McKegney trying to get it loose. And they all get in and hold the puck with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the second period. Buffalo Sabres, leaders of the Adams Division, the second highest points total in the entire NHL, as we see Alexei Volchenkov heading to the bench. And it's been a fast-paced, wide-open game. Zadanov, number 21, coming out on defense now, along with Gamayev, number 5 for the Soviets. Derek Smith, number 19, will take this face-off. Puck is slapped back to Zadanov. Zadanov got it up. Here comes Petrov. Up with Harlamov. Up over the Sabres line. A backhand shot. And Edwards stopped that. Harlamov goes after the loose puck. Danny Gare stops him. Here's Gamayev. His shot. And that hit Smith and went wide. Now Smith brings it out. Pass on that left side for Tony McKegney. But back to cover up was Mikhailov. And the Soviets get it out to center. Petrov racing into the Buffalo zone of shot. And that was stopped, and the Sabres come right back. Smith trying to get it back to Gare. Gare hooked Harlamov and knocked him down. There'll be a penalty there. That shot by Mikhailov goes wide. Buck McKegney has it, and the infraction, the penalty to Danny Gare as he hauled down Harlamov inside the Buffalo blue line.
Well, there we see Danny Gare going to the box, but there was no question about that call. Here we just see it, the end of the play when he turned around, had a stick a little high. Whoops, we're going to get it back again here. The stick just around the top. Got a little bit, I think, of his head at that point, just pulling him down for the Buffalo penalty, and the Soviets get an opportunity here with a man advantage with 1:33 left in the second period. There's Gare in the box.
So Danny Gare for hooking at 18:27. Face off to the left of goaltender Don Edwards. The Sabres have outshot the Central Red Army 17-16 in the game. Don Luce in his 9th year with the Buffalo Sabres, getting set for this important face-off against Petrov. Sabres a man short. Goes into the corner to Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld knocked against the boards, goes after the puck again. Bumps with Mikhailov. Luptov gets in there as well. They fight for possession, and it's held long enough to get another whistle.
Well, I can tell you right now the Soviets are upset, because here's one thing you never see happen. Once in a blue moon, they've got Zhluktov, a center at the point. They very, very seldom will ever play a forward on the point. Zhluktov, who has been scoring pretty well in this series, they've got him on the point with Kazatanov and the big line of Petrov, Harlamov, and Mikhailov. But they don't usually do this. They like to have those defensemen on the point, but they're getting a little desperate at this point in the hockey game.
And here the puck rolls into the corner. Mikhailov goes after it there. It comes back to Zhluktov. Gets it over. Kazatanov. Over to Valery Harlamov. Back to Kazatanov. Over now to Zhluktov. Zhluktov to Petrov. Petrov, number 16 for the Soviets, setting up. Rolls it in front. And it got away from Mikhailov. Harlamov dumps it in front. And we're into the final minute of the second period. Zlukov back at his own zone. 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the penalty to Danny Gare. The Soviets, Harlamov. Got away from Ramsey. Still has the puck. Up to the line, and it hit a player and came back out to center. Petrov to Harlamov. Had it tied up in his skate. Mihailov helps out. Number 7. There's Mihailov shooting it into Valery Harlamov. Schoenfeld backhanded it down the ice. 25 seconds left in the second period. Soviets on the power play. They trail 2-0. This is Petrov. Balderas is out there now, number 19. Petrov inside the Sabres line. Backhands it. Edwards out of the net. Left it there for Schoenfeld. Here's Kazatinov. Into the corner to Balderas. Balderas pumped by Schoenfeld. Sabres trying to get it out, and Schoenfeld succeeds. As the horn goes to end the second period of play. And Gare has 7 seconds remaining in his minor penalty. But the Sabres did a good job of, once again, killing that penalty. So at the end of the second period, the score, Buffalo 2 and the Soviets nothing. Live from Buffalo, Super Series 80.
Well, the Buffalo Sabres lead this hockey game by a score of 2-0 on goals by Danny Gare and Don Luce back in the first period. The Sabres were outshot by the Soviet Central Red Army 10-7 in that second period. 17-16 favor the Sabres through 2 periods of play. 2-0, Sabres are leading. Now let's look back. New Year's Eve and the excitement of the Canadians against the Central Red Army this year.
Rolls in front. Oh, cut out a chance. Red Jack was right on top of that and steered into the corner.
Gretzky. Over for Kersanidov. He shoots it out to center ice. Jarvis comes right back in again. Jarvis ahead for Gainey. 2-on-1. Gainey shoots. Facing off against Lobanov. On the face-off, back to Savard. He winds up the shot, and it's goal! Right off of the fender and into the net. As Tretiak was going the wrong way, and there's Savard has made it 4-2. 7:50 left.
Well, a game like that, it just brings chills back up and down your spine once again. The Canadians win that one 4-2, and who says history can't repeat itself? It certainly did at the Montreal Forum. 2 new years, separated by 4 years, each equally as good as the other for the hometown fans. Well, we're going to be speaking with one of the associate coaches for the Buffalo Sabres in a moment. When we come back, our second intermission in Game 4 of Super Series 80 will continue in a moment. Well, there's one thing. The Buffalo Sabres lead all of the National Hockey League in coaches. Here's the associate coach of the Sabres, Roger Nielsen. And Roger, first of all, some comments on the game, the way it's going for you.
Well, we feel fortunate to be ahead. Although I think our team has played well. We're trying to lock up the middle and keep our defense up at the blue line. And occasionally we slip a little, and once they get over the blue line, you know, they've got those great crisscrosses and drop passes. But Donnie Edwards has come up big in the net, and they've been their big period, the second period. I think they've got 9 of their 10 goals in the second period, and so now that we're through that, we're hoping we can grab that first goal in the third.
Looking at that crisscrossing and so on, what kind of coaching did you do to prevent that sort of thing? You don't see it much over here. Is it something where you just have to hold your position and so on?
I think so. We, had videotapes of their games in New York and in Montreal, and we feel if we can keep our defense up, their sticks up over the blue line, and the wingers stay wide, then we don't care if they crisscross outside the blue line. But of course, defensemen can't always do that, and the men coming back then have to pick up the drop man and stay with them. The danger is to chase the puck, and we've got to stay with our men.
You looked at some films just before the game, actually videotapes of the game. Tom Watt was mentioning during the broadcast that you showed some of them to the players. Were there any specific things that you were trying to show them, to point out before going into this game?
Yeah, we do that every game, about a 5-minute clip on the other team, and again, we had clips from those 2 games, and there were about 3 or 4 things that we were trying to point out. One, of course, was the fact that we had to stay up over that blue line, and we could show where the times that Rangers and Canadians backed off it, they got in trouble, and there's one face-off play that we feel we could take advantage of, and there were a few other things.
The one thing that Sullivan said is that they're not really great on the draw, are they, taking face-offs?
I don't feel that they make the most of the positioning at the face-offs. I don't know that they're that bad on the draw, but there's one face-off in one corner of the rink now. They're letting our man be wide open, and we're hoping we can take advantage of it.
Good luck in the third period.
Thanks, Ron.
Roger Nielsen, associate coach with the Sabres. Sabres leading this one 2-0, live from Memorial Auditorium. Buffalo Sabres and the Soviet Central Red Army. Well, we've got Tom Watt with us down in the interview studio right now. And Tom, the one thing I think has been very noticeable to anyone who's watched all of the games in this series is that the Soviets, at least from a team standpoint, should be working a little bit on their power play.
Well, yes, this is really unusual for the Soviets because usually they have a great power play, but I think you have to give the Buffalo penalty killing unit. They scored one of their 2 goals when they were shorthanded, and I think they've done an excellent job the whole game of killing penalties. And we're going to see a little bit of a clip here where after we had Gare and Mikhailov off. Here is, I believe, the penalty to Makarov, or on Makarov. He makes a little move, and Schoenfeld kind of gets, well, that's not the play that we wanted there. We thought that we had the penalty. Maybe this is it now when Makarov picks up the puck, and he makes a little move. He goes to the outside first
on Schoenfeld, then comes back to the inside. Schoenfeld got leaning the wrong way and had to give him a little bit of the stick and arm, and he pulls him down. He's got the roughing call here, and it was 4 men to 3 for the Soviets at this point. The Soviets really controlled the puck very well, but the discipline of the Buffalo penalty killing unit was exceptional here. Now, here we have the Soviets moving the puck from the point, getting that opportunity. You just see it going wide, but the Soviets, they can control it here. But I think that the key to the Buffalo job that they've been doing here is that they've been staying in their spots, trying to play as disciplined as they can. We got a little out of position at that point, but you see the Soviets controlling it, trying to move it inside to get that opportunity, but they haven't really had the good opportunity from either the slot or in front of the net. Buffalo content to let them move the puck at the point, let them move the puck at the outside, being very disciplined here in their zone. Here we have Gare out at this point. He had just come out of the box after being down 4-3. We see Gare chasing it, and that's one thing that Buffalo likes to do too. Like some of the European clubs, they if you haven't got complete control of the puck, then that they'll come at you as Gare did there to try and gain possession and hope that you will throw the puck away. Here's another shot coming from the point. Good discipline. And of course, I think the other thing, along with the penalty killing of the Buffalo Sabres in this period, has been certainly the play of Edwards. I think his play has been outstanding. Buffalo was outshot in that period 10-7, I believe. And I think that all night long he has just played an outstanding game in the nets. And of course, when you shut them out for 2 periods, you shut out a team like the Soviets. This is really something.
This is the penalty to Gare here. This was the hooking penalty.
Well, actually, I think, although, oops, there we are, the little hook around the neck. But I think one thing that the Buffalo coaching staff is a little upset about is that they haven't had a power play. The Soviet official, I think, maybe he's looking a little too much at the blue team and not enough at the white team, but they haven't had a power play opportunity the whole game.
Let's see what happens in the third period. Tom, thanks for joining us. With the score 2-0, Buffalo leading the Central Red Army. This is Super Series 80, live from Buffalo.
And welcome back to Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium. This is Bernie Pascal and the Buffalo Sabres leading by a score of 2-0 as we prepare to start the third period. Tishnik, the backup goalie for the Soviet Union. Tretiak has seen all the action in this Super Series 80 for the Central Red Army. Reminder, their final game in this series will be Sunday in Quebec City against the Nordiques, and that game will be televised on the full CTV network. There have been 6 penalties in this game, 5 to Buffalo, handed out by the Soviet referee, Karandian. The other members of the officiating staff are NHL linesmen Don Kowarski and Ron Finn. Danny Gare has 27 seconds remaining in his penalty, giving the Soviet Red Army an opportunity to get on the board with a power play. Zlukov, number 22, will take the face-off for the Soviets as Balderas and Makarov, his wingers. Kazanov and Luchenko on defense for the Soviets, and Luce, number 20, out there along with Ramsey, Korab, and Schoenfeld. And the third period is underway. Makarov slaps the puck into the Buffalo zone. Ramsey, number 10, off the boards and down the ice it goes. Tretiak leaves it there. Luchenko ran into his teammate Kazanov, and now Kazanov brings it out to Zlukov. He had trouble with it, and Ramsey for Buffalo backhands it. Gare is back on the ice. The Sabres are at full strength. Schoenfeld in his own zone. Zlukov knocked it away from him. Here's Gare trying to catch up to it. Collides with Luchenko, and they pin it there and get another whistle. And the face-off in the Buffalo zone. Veteran defenseman Luchenko. He joined the national team back in 1969. And the upcoming Olympics at Lake Placid will be Luchenko's 3rd Olympic Games. He was 31 yesterday. Both teams at full strength. Petrov, Mikhailov, and Harlamov out there for the Soviets. Puck is back to the line. Starikov took that shot. It went to Jerry Korab. Korab trying to get it out. Has it at the blue line. It's kept in by Harlamov. Rolls it in front. And Smith Can't get it out. Mihailov. There's a shot knocked down by Schoenfeld. It's off the glass and down the ice into the Soviet zone. Back for it is Starikov, and it's icing against Buffalo. Now let's check again with Ron Rouge.
Well, a reminder that right after tonight's game, the Molson International Awards. Our award winners in the 2 games televised on CTV, Mikhail Barnikov in Madison Square Garden and the Rangers' Ulf Nielsen. In the second game, it was Viktor Shluptov for the Soviets as the Canadians won that game, and Bob Gainey was the #1 star. Who will it be tonight? The Molson International Awards right after tonight's game.
Ready now, Smith and Petrov moving into the face-off position. Petrov goes after the puck, trying to get it back, and Danny Gare scoops it out to center. Loose puck at center ice. McKegney. Number 8 shoots it into the Soviet zone. This is Starikov. Starikov passes up on the right wing side to Mihailov. McKegney checked him. Now here's a break for Mihailov. Going in. And he was stopped there by Richard Dunn. Height off the boards. Moving up for the Soviets was Starikov, and now it's cleared to an open wing down the ice. And Babinov, number 4, backboard for the Soviet Red Army. Sealing standing in front of the Soviet net. Pass comes to Gamayev. Up to Kovin, deflected off his stick down into the Sabres zone. And it's Richard Dunn. Slaps it around the boards to Sealing. He deflects it to center. We've played 2 minutes here in the third period, and the Sabres lead 2-0. At center ice, here's Kovin, bringing it up offside at the Buffalo blue line.
Excellent play by Gilbert Perreault. There you see Skvortsov. He's a little upset there because Gilbert Perreault brought him. Just came from behind him as the play was being made by Kovin at the blue line and just took him over offside. He's claiming he was deliberately taken off, which he was, but the linesman didn't catch it. Offside of the blue line nullified that rush.
Each team has had 17 shots in the game. Puck dropped back to Jerry Korav. Korav bringing it out for Buffalo with Gilbert Perreault and Richard Martin. Korav into the corner, bumped there by Gamayev. Richard Martin has it. Martin, number 7, and the Soviet player Volchenkov is all over it. Now the puck goes to Barnikov, right in front of his own net. Backhands it. Goes out to Kovin. Kovin is checked by Korav. Here comes Larry Playfair. He's bumped. And the Soviet player Volchenkov on the left side. Clears it over to Skvortsov. He couldn't catch up to it. And it's stopped by Gamayev. Off the boards at center. Here comes Martin. Martin back to Playfair to Martin offside. He was over the line and the puck was behind him. Live from Buffalo, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. We played 2 minutes, 59 seconds. Here's that action, Tom.
Here we have Richard Martin just holding off the Soviet here. The fans just screaming for a penalty. The Soviet player all over him, pulling him down. And I was talking to Scotty Bowman and Roger just down at the room when we were down at the studio, and they were saying just 1 power play. That's all we want, 1.
Well, the Sabres have had 5 of the 6 penalties in the game. Here's a chance for Ramsey, and the shot is deflected high over the glass and out of play. Dimensions of this ice surface in Buffalo, 196 feet by 85. Puck is slapped out to center. Richard Dunn trying to get that lead pass ahead to Don Luce. It bounced over his stick, and Luchenko slaps it around the boards to Balderas. Balderas lost the puck to Ramsey. Goes after it again. Balderas coming right in front of Tretiak. Drops it there for Luchenko. Up to Kazadanov. Kazadanov trying to get that pass to Zlukov. And Don Luce shoots it in. Ramsey goes after it. Tretiak steered the puck into the corner. Zlukov goes after it along with the Buffalo player Gould, and we get a whistle.
Well, the fans here just screaming because Gould made a good play there, and he tapped Balderas' stick as he was trying to break down the wing. Balderas lost his stick. Then when he was looking for his stick, he came back from behind Gould, tried to kick his skates right out from underneath him, but no penalty again. The Soviet official is just checking the stats on that.
McKegney is out there now for Buffalo. along with Danny Gare and Smith, who moves over to the left side. Petrov, Mihailov. And it's Petrov with the puck. Harlamov, number 17, with Mihailov and Petrov. The pass goes in front. That shot by Starikov. And it's deflected out of play.
Well, there we have it again. Starikov, who was moving right up. The Soviets down 2-0. You see, Starikov again is the defenseman. He's moving up to try and create the odd man situation as he did when they were playing 4-on-4. They're not afraid to move those defensemen up to get involved in the attack.
Face off directly in front of Edwards, and that shot, and Edwards scooped that up from the ice. Here comes Korab, and he just shoots the puck into the Soviet zone. Back for to Starikov, and the Sabres called for icing. With the score, Buffalo 2, the Soviets nothing. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. And one of the young fans on hand here at Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium, a capacity crowd. That youngster taking a bit of a breather. Now the action. Puck goes into the corner to Schoenfeld. Bumped by Petrov. Petrov knocks the puck loose. Danny Gare goes after it. Petrov and Schoenfeld pushing behind the net. Puck goes ahead now to Smith. Up to Gare. Gare's over the line. A shot. Tretiak stops it. McKegney on the rebound just missed the net. Now the Soviets. Petrov at center. Long pass, and that got away from Mihailov, and it's offside. A close call. Danny Gare's shot stopped by Tretiak, and McKegney right in front.
Well, there you see Mikhailov. He's the captain of the team, and he's going after his teammates and so on for that pass that went behind him. You watch him now. He'll get after them. He'll give them a talking to here when he gets to the bench, because he doesn't stand for that. He wants all those passes to be perfect, and he's the guy, he's the chatter man on that bench, and he gives them what for if they make the mistake.
Well, that line has played together for something like 10 years. And even they have their off nights, as they did on that last series. Puck is cleared out to center. This is Kovin. Backhands it over to Volchenkov. Stopped at the Sabres line by Ruff. Back now to Volchenkov. Got the puck ahead to Skvortsev. Back to Kovin. Kovin shoots it into the Sabres zone. Back after it for Buffalo is Ruff. Martin is bumped against the boards by Volchenkov. Volchenkov slapping at the puck, and Gilbert Perreault has it. Perreault up on the right side. Sealing going in on goal. A shot. Tretiak stopped that. Sealing has it behind the net. Gilbert Perreault gets in there. Here's Height. Backhands it. Perreault goes after it. Knocked against the boards by Gamayev. Richard Martin slips and falls. Shot. That's stopped by Tretiak. Goes back at the side. And the fans upset, figuring there should be a penalty there. Now it goes to Varnikov. Varnikov of the Soviets. Up on the left wing. Over the line. Back to Skvortsev in front. Oh, and Varnikov shot it wide. Here's Perreault. Gets the puck out. Martin took a punch at Kovin and knocked him to the ice. And the referee didn't see that. He was going the other way. Martin punched the Soviet player and knocked him down. Now this is Kazadanov. Luchenko up to center to Makarov. Over the line. Makarov bumped by Schoenfeld, and Jerry Korab shoots it around the boards. Kazadanov stops it there. Balderas behind the net to Makarov, and Edwards stopped that shot. And it's shot down the ice into the Soviet zone. Luchenko back after it, and it's icing against Buffalo. From Memorial Auditorium, the Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres, Game 3 of Super Series 80.
Well, here we see the Soviets. They're throwing everything they have now at Buffalo. Here's a nice little drop pass. It comes back again. Now watch, he just has Edwards at his mercy. Throws the puck right out the far side when he had a perfect opportunity. Varnikov, the same type of goal he scored against Rangers, the first goal that they got in New York City.
Ready now is Lutov, lost the draw. It goes to Schoenfeld. Slaps it around the boards. John Gould couldn't control it. Kazadanov at his own blue line. Then he was bumped. Gould backhands it. Zlutov clears it out to center. Korab for Buffalo. Helmut Balderas watching him. Korab backhands it right to Tretiak. Buffalo leading 2-0 here in the third period. Zlutov bringing it out. A pass to Balderas, and that was knocked off his stick. Here comes Luce, getting it ahead to Gould, but he couldn't catch up to it. The Soviet player Makarov, and it deflects off a stick into the Sabre zone. Schoenfeld, number 6. Balderas slips and falls. Around the boards to Ramsey. Ramsey can't control the pass, goes after it at center. Zlukov lost it. Here's Ramsey coming up with Luce. Chases it into the corner. Ramsey goes after it, and the Soviet player just backhanded it around to Makarov. Makarov couldn't get it. Here's Danny Gare. He's dumped by Starikov. In behind the net goes Starikov. Gare knocks him down, and there'll be a penalty to Danny Gare. A delayed penalty. Now the Soviet player Starikov. Kazadanov, number 21, a delayed penalty coming up to Gare. This is Mihailov. Mihailov up on the right side to Balderas. Balderas is knocked down. Petrov up on the left side. Here's Makarov into the corner. Drops it back to Kazadanov. Into the side. Balderas in front. Here's a shot. Starikov. They score! Balderas on the delayed penalty puts the Soviets on the board.
Well, there we see Helmut Balderas. The fans here are just going wild because I've never seen anything so blatant in my life as the officiating in this game. There's no question about it that Karandin, here we have the first play. It's an out-and-out dump. Starikov dumps Gare. Gare comes right back here, puts the word on Starikov behind the net. There's the trip right in front of the official, but he didn't call the original one, and that's what gets Gare upset. There his hands are in the air, but now the Soviets control the puck. The Soviets control the puck at this point. They go right down. Here we have, they've got the extra man out there. Here we have Balderas all by himself at the side of the net. They've got the goaltender out. They're controlling it just like a power play. Moved off to Balderas at the side. Here we see 2 Soviets. There's the gimme at that point, but the fans here just going wild. They've littered the ice. Very blatant as far as the officiating is concerned in favor of the Soviet.
There's the Soviet coach, Tikhonov. And the Sabres will have to keep their cool against a team like the Central Red Army. On the delayed penalty to Danny Gare, Balderas scores, and it's 2-1 with 11 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in the third period.
There's Tikhonov pointing to himself, and he's smiling. He said, "Is it my fault? Is it my fault?" Well, I don't know whose fault it is, but if I were Scotty Bowman or Roger Nielsen, I'd be really upset.
Danny Gare had good reason to be upset.
Well, here we have it. It is true that Danny Gare did take him down, but what precipitated that was that the Soviet defender was all over him, just pulling him, pushing him down the whole works. It was an out-and-out penalty at that point. Gare gets frustrated, comebacks, dumps the Soviet player, and then he was going to get the 2 minutes. Here's Tikhonov. Is it my fault? Is it my fault? Well, I don't know whether it's your fault or not, but the Soviet official out and out just forgets about anything that the Soviet team does as far as fouls are concerned.
Live from Buffalo, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. The Soviet goal was scored by Balderas from Starikov and Kazadanov at 8:12. Face-off in the Buffalo zone. To the left of Don Edwards. Petrov and the Buffalo Sabres, McKegney up to Danny Gare. Here's Gare going in, bumped by Starikov and taken out. The shot, they score! McKegney in front.
Captain breaking down, getting that hand in, holding Starikov off. The original shot just goes off the side of that. Here's the tip back. Here we see McKegney coming in late with Smith, pushing the puck by the Soviet goaltender Tretiak. But watch there, there's Gare holding off the Soviet defender. There's the tip right in front of the net. There's the shot going by Tretiak, and that really brings the fans gets to their feet after that Soviet goal. Here we have another look at it. Gare making the original play. There's the stop off the side of the net. Whoops, the dump in front. And we have the goal to go ahead 3-1.
Boy, you could see the determination of Danny Gare as he broke down that right side. And McKegney carrying on, getting it right back with 11 minutes and 28 seconds left in the third period. The Sabres lead 3-1. To the live action, the puck is shot into the Soviet zone. Smith from McKegney and Gare at 8:32. Now it's Ruff, number 22 for Buffalo. Off the boards, Martin couldn't get it. And it's cleared right back into the Buffalo zone. Bill Height, number 24, off the boards to Martin. Martin up the middle, but it's intercepted there by Covine, and it's shot in on the offside.
You know, Bernie, before the Soviets did get that first goal, I think they were really dead. I saw the Soviets doing three things they never do. Number one, they're dumping the puck in, and they like to control it. Buffalo doing a good job maintaining the blue line. Secondly, their power play hasn't had one opportunity. They haven't scored in one power play in 14 chances in the series. And they're using forwards on the point. Three things that they've never done, and you know they're upset when those things happen.
Exactly 11 minutes remaining in the third period. The Sabres lead 3-1. Here comes Covine. Got the pass over to Varnikoff and went off his skate. Now Gilbert Perreault takes it into the corner. Perreault is knocked off stride. Sealing goes over to help him, and the Soviets bring it out. Skvortsov, number 24 on the right side, moves it into Covine, and he's taken into the corner, but the Buffalo player Korab fell. Now it's Schoenfeld. Up the middle for Buffalo. Going in with Martin, a shot. Oh, and that didn't miss by much. Varnikoff in behind the net. Volchenkov for the Soviets. Got the pass intended for Covine, and Dunn breaks that up. Gemayev up on the left side. Here goes Skvortsov. And over to cover him was Richard Dunn. The Sabres clear it out to center. Gemayev to Zlutov. Drops it back to Kazadanov. Kazadanov, number 21. Up to Balderas at center. Got away from Loose and then goes back into his own zone. To Kazadanov. Up on the far side. Loose. Bumped with Balderas. Now here's Dudley in the corner. Dudley is stopped, and Luchenko for the Soviets. On the left side at center ice. Here's Luchenko's shot, and Edwards stopped that. Balderas knocked against the boards by Dunn. The Sabres player Ramsey off the boards for Dudley. Ramsey chases it down, comes out on the left side, going in against Kazadanov, put it on goal, and he couldn't get a shot. Now the Soviets have it. Makarov to Balderas. Back to Makarov at center. Slipped and fell as he bumped with the Sabre player. Here's Height going in with McKegney, and that's broken up. Balderas with 9 minutes remaining in the third period. Makarov up to the Buffalo line. A shot, and that hit Height. Here comes Dudley. Dudley leads it out to McKegney. McKegney going in. A shot, and Kretjak stopped that.
A very determined effort there by McKegney, just breaking in, holding off the Soviet defender all the way in to get the shot, and Tretiak had to come up with a good save. But again, the referee ignoring all kinds of fouls here. It's just like he's just held on to his whistle. He won't blow it no matter what happens. But McKegney showing the determination. Here we have Ramsey just breaking loose over the blue line. Breaking around, there's the miss at that point, and he's dumped. But the puck came back again, and we had McKegney with the good opportunity. Here's McKegney breaking in, holding the Soviet defender off. It looks like he's right out of the play. Gets around him, gets the shot on goal. Tretiak having to come up with a good stop.
Here's McKegney at the side. They slap away right at the line, and Tretiak covers up with Smith, Gare, and McKegney once again. Boy, is this some game or what?
Well, determination is the word from this forward line here. They've just worked. Gare, McKegney, Smith, they've worked very, very hard. They've checked the big line of the Soviet. They've come up with 2 goals tonight, and that line is just playing great.
Buffalo Sabres leading 3-1 with 8 minutes and 32 seconds left in the third period. Mikhailov bumps with Danny Gare. This is Smith, number 19, knocked against the boards by Petrov, and they pin it there. Another face-off in the Soviet zone. With the score, Buffalo 3, the Soviets 1. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. There's Volchenkov, number 13 for the Soviets. The face-off to Tretiak's right. Gilbert Perreault wins the draw. Comes back to Playfair, slaps it off the boards. Perreault into the corner after it. Here's Sealing. Back to Gilbert Perreault. Perreault trying to set up Martin. Comes back to Schoenfeld, a shot. And Tretiak loves that. Sabres have outshot the Soviets 26-21. Koveen, number 25, against Perreault. Martin moves in before the puck is dropped. Now it's dropped back now to Gemayev. Gemayev trying to get it up the middle. It's over now to Skvortsev. Skvortsev at center. Here's a chance for Varnikov. Puts on the brakes. And the Sabres break that up, but they can't get it out. Playfair's knocked against the boards. There's a shot over the top of the net. Skvortsev into the corner. Schoenfeld lines him up. Perreault backhands it right in front. Varnikov getting set. Comes back now to Volchenkov. A shot deflected wide. Koveen goes after it. Edwards is all tied up with the Soviet player's stick. And the puck is shot down the ice with 7.5 minutes remaining in the third period. This is Volchenkov, knocked against the boards by Richard Martin. Varnikov up to the Buffalo line. Backhands it to Skvortsev. Into Zhlukov at the side. He couldn't get a shot as Richard Dunn did a good job of checking him. Gamayev's shot, and that hit his teammate Varnikov. And the Sabres take off the pressure by shooting it down into the Soviet zone. Kazadanov. 7 minutes remaining in the third period. This is Dunn off the boards. Kazadanov for the Soviets. To Makarov. Makarov, number 15. He's stopped there by Ramsey. And then Ramsey's held against the boards right at the Soviet line, and we get a whistle.
Well, there we see Makarov, and he tried to put the little move on Ramsey, and there's one of the best checking forwards in the National Hockey League in Ramsey, and he wasn't able to put that move on. In fact, he was fortunate it didn't create a 2-on-1 when he tried to come out of his own zone. Instead of moving the puck with a pass, he tried to make the little stick handling move by him, and at your own blue line, that's a pretty dangerous play.
6 minutes and 46 seconds left in the third period. The Sabres lead 3-1. Ramsey backhands the puck right to Kazadanov. Up to Makarov. Tried to get it to Zhlukov, and it failed. Dunn off the glass. Back into the Soviet zone is Luchenko. Luchenko to Makarov. Remember, on Sunday, the Central Red Army will play Quebec Nordiques in Quebec, and that game will be televised on the full CTV network on Sunday. Loose backhands it to center. Ramsey. Now he got the puck to Loose. He slapped it into the Soviet zone. Kazadanov to Makarov. Out to center. Dunn intercepts that and shoots it right at Tretiak. Now Kazadanov, number 21. Watched by Gare. Trying to get that lead pass to Petrov. Failed. Schoenfeld to McKegney. Now the puck loose at center. Makarov goes after it. Korab got there first. And it's shot into the Soviet zone. Number 14 is Starikov. Watched by McKegney. Intercepted by Gare.
Well, Starikov, the Soviet defenseman, tried to move that puck out from his own zone, that long pass through the center. And Danny Gare was standing in a very good position, intercepted the pass. The Soviet defender now, there he is, just throws it through the center. You see Danny Gare just moving in the middle. Shot from a good, so he could see a lot of net, but again, I can't understand why Tretiak is down on the play from an easy shot, or what could have been an easy shot.
Oh, and another close call, and Tretiak stopped that. Smith is knocked down, and now the penalty will be called. Here's Gare to get it back, and Harlamov has it, and we have a Soviet penalty to Petrov. From Memorial Auditorium, the Central Red Army and the Buffalo Sabres, Super Series 80. A Soviet penalty to Petrov with 5 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the game. The Sabres lead it 4-1 as Danny Gare has scored 2 goals. I talked to Danny before the game. He says, we want to win it as bad as any other game. And he said the team is up, and they definitely have been tonight. They led 2-0 in the first period. Now they're on the power play. Here's Danny Gare. Gare at his own line, coming up with Smith and McKegney. Shoots it into the corner, goes in after it. Here's McKegney, back behind the net. Smith is upset. McKegney goes after it to Gare in front, a shot. And that goes wide. Smith bumped with Tretiak. Gare doing a good job of tying up Babinoff. Here's Gare rolling it in front, and McKegney couldn't get a shot. The Soviets, Harlamov, coming up with Mihailov. Here's Harlamov in front, getting set, and Schoenfeld knocked him off stride. Then Schoenfeld is dumped by Starikov. The puck is underneath him. Gare. 4.5 minutes remaining in the third period, and the Sabres lead 4-1. 1 minute remaining in Petrov's penalty. This is Schoenfeld. In behind the net, bumps with Korab. Tries to get it in front. Gilbert Perreault. Here he goes. Perreault up over the line. Takes it into the corner. Stops. Back to the line to Korab. Korab, number 4. Swings it around to Ruff. Back into the corner to Perreault. In front. A shot. Sealing. And it's 5-1. Sealing scores for Buffalo.
See the power play, the first opportunity tonight. You see Perreault controlling the puck in the corner, throwing it into the slot, and that puck again beat Tretiak on the short side. We're getting another look at it, controlled inside the blue line, into the corner to Perreault. He drops it to Sealing in the slot. You see it there, short side above the gloved hand of Tretiak, but I don't think Tretiak has looked very good tonight. On a number of plays, he's been down a lot. Puck beating him on the short side there to the glove. Not a very good goaltending at this point.
And the time of the goal, 16:01, Sealing from Perreault and Ruff. Now at center. Sealing had it again, but he was stopped, and Volchenkov up on the right side. The Sabres break that up. 3 minutes and 38 seconds left in the game. This is Volchenkov. Over to Skvortsov, and he backhands it into his own zone to Gamayev. Watched there by Sealing. Gets it ahead to Skvortsov. Now he goes back into his own zone. Buffalo leading 5-1. Varnikov at center. Lost the puck to Perreault. Gilbert Perreault waiting for his teammates to get onside, a delayed offside, but it's brought out by the Soviet player Skvortsov. Into the corner. Kovin ran into Van Boxmeer. Now they hold it in the corner as it gets a little physical. With 3:04 remaining, let's check with Ron.
Reminder that right after tonight's game, those Molson International Awards. It'll be a tough selection for the selectors here at the Buffalo Auditorium. The Molson International Awards coming up to be presented right after tonight's hockey game.
Face-off will be in the Buffalo zone. To the left of goaltender Don Edwards, who has been outstanding in goal. There have been several outstanding players. As you mentioned, Ron, boy, you could look at Edwards, Gare, Korab has played a stellar game on defense as well. They all have. Luchenko couldn't control the puck there, goes back into his own zone, chased by Rick Dudley. Zlukov, number 22, brings it out. Had trouble with it, gets it to center. Zlukov up to the Buffalo line. Dropped it there for Makarov. Makarov into the corner and stopped. Kazadanov bumped by Ramsey. And the puck is out to center. 2.5 minutes remaining in the game. It's 5-1 Buffalo. This is Balderas, number 19. Balderas backhands it to Makarov. Intercepted by Ramsey. Ramsey going in.
Luchenko ties him up. He got a shot. And Tretiak stopped that. Height ran into the Soviet player Balderas. Puck is up to Ramsey, and he backhands it into the Central Red Army zone. And the Sabres take that opportunity to change. Now it's Smith trying to get it in front. He's stopped. Balderas outside the line for the Soviets with Luchenko. And Kazadanov is running out the clock here with a minute and 51 seconds left in the game. The puck is stolen by Smith. Back to Gare, and he couldn't get a shot. Balderas up to Makarov. Makarov coming up with Petrov, who takes the pass. Back to Makarov, fakes a shot, tried to get it in front, and Smith has it underneath him. And we get a whistle with 1:36 left in the game. And this crowd have been clapping and cheering right from the outset, and for good reason. On Sunday, the Soviet Red Army will be in Quebec, and that game will be televised on CTV. Scotty Bowman and Roger Nielsen looking on. A minute and 36 seconds left. Petrov against Smith. It comes back to Babinov. His shot knocked down in front. And Schoenfeld gets it to the line. It stopped there. Harlamov to Petrov. Petrov rolling it in front. Mihailov was tied up and he couldn't get it. Here's Babinov inside his own line. Sends it over to Starikov. Back to Harlamov. Up to Mihailov. Mihailov into the corner. Schoenfeld gets there first. Trying to get a whistle. And with 4 players holding it there, we do get a stop. Buffalo has outshot the Soviets 14-5 in this third period. And overall, 31-21, the shots on goal favoring Buffalo. 35-year-old Mihailov. He was the most valuable Soviet player in the Challenge Cup. 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Buffalo 5, the Central Red Army 1. Smith goes off. McKegney is out there. Now the puck comes back to Babinov. Babinov getting set a shot. That's blocked by Savard. McKegney gets it out to center. Gare goes after it, couldn't catch up to it. And we're into the final minute of the game. This is Starikov. Gare hustles into the corner. Gare goes in behind the Soviet net. Coming out in front, a shot hit the side of the stick of Tretiak. Now another shot by Gare. That goes wide. 41 seconds left. Mihailov kicks it, but not out. Savard got a shot. That's blocked by Mihailov. Here comes Mihailov. Shoots it into the Buffalo corner. Harlamov goes in after it. Valery Harlamov. And he lost control of it with 25 seconds. And the Sabres captain Danny Gare just shot it into the Soviet zone. And now it's shot right back down the ice to Bill Height. 15 seconds remaining. And the fans are getting to their feet. Here's Ruff. He shoots it into the corner. Going in after it is Volchenkov. 5 seconds left. Right in front. They score! Sealing scores to make it 6-1.
Soviets have just out and out given up here. This is unbelievable from a Soviet team here, but they just didn't even chase that puck when it got thrown into their own zone. Richard Martin went in, hustled the puck, got a hold of it. Here we see how loose they are. They just throw it around and they stop skating. They just let Richard Martin have it. He throws it out in front of the ceiling, no problem at all. The goal is 6-1 ahead, but they didn't even try to get the puck.
Sealing from Martin at 1956. And the game is over. And the Sabres off the bench to congratulate goalie Don Edwards. And they get a thunderous standing ovation from the 16,000 plus at Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo. It's deafening in here.
Well, one of the things that's most surprising, just like in the game with Montreal, the Buffalo Sabres completely dominated the third period, as did the Montreal Canadiens dominate the third period. And it seems like the Soviet team in be in great condition, ran out of gas in the third period of both those games. Certainly they did tonight.
And the players, the traditional handshake at center ice. That's the final score. The Sabres 6, the Soviets 1. We'll return with the most valuable player awards in a moment.
Well, a rather hectic area down here in our interview room right now. Reporters, Brian O'Neill, the Executive Vice President of the National Hockey League. Brian, first of all, a quick comment on the hockey game.
Well, it was different in that there were a lot of goals scored and there was a lot of tremendous fan interest, but it's an unusual game. I'd like to take some time to think about this one.
Well, the main reason we're here, of course, is to present the Molson International Awards, and perhaps we could get the two players to come in and visit with us. Brian, I know this moment at the end of the game to honor the players who have played well.
Well, I think both of the nominees for this award, for the Molson International Player Award, are well deserving of it, and I'd like to make the first presentation to Helmut Balderas. The top award for the Buffalo Sabres, I don't think there's any question about it, is Don Edwards. Played a superb game. I'd like to congratulate Don.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Both of these players, of course, were the outstanding players, and I think that they're fully deserving of this award, and they just made a great hockey game for everybody out there on.
All right, there are our award winners then. Helmut Balderas, number 19 for the Soviet Central Red Army, and for the Buffalo Sabres, there's Don Edwards. And there's the scoring story on the game. Danny Gare and Don Luce with that shorthanded goal in the first period to make it 2-0. Balderas with the Soviets' lone goal, and Smith-Gare and those two goals late in the game by Rick Sealing. This is Super Series 80 on CTV.
Exciting international professional hockey continues on CTV with Super Series 79-80. This Sunday night, the Quebec Nordique clash with the Red Army in what will be a classic action-filled game. This Sunday night, the Quebec Nordique versus the Red Army. Super Series 79-80 is a special CTV sports presentation.
Well, the winner of the Molson International Award as the top member of the Buffalo Sabres tonight, and proudly holding that trophy, I noticed, Don Edwards. Don, congratulations on the hockey game. I have to look at it in two parts because early on in that game, it looked like you were really pressed and they were coming at you a little bit.
Well, you know, we come out, we really didn't know what they'd do right off the start. We thought they'd sort of buzz us, and they did. And so it just took us about 5 or 6 minutes to get organized, and once we did, we got our feet under us and away we went.
Mm-hmm. The latter stages of the game, they were trying to break loose, not having much success at it.
Well, I thought our forwards really back-checked well. We really shut them down offensively, and I thought our defense did a super job, and they really cleaned out the guys in front. They really didn't get that, the chance for the second shot, and anytime you do that, it makes a goaltender's night pretty easy.
You know, first of all, you're young in the league. I look back to 4 years ago. I guess you were playing, what, junior hockey then?
Well, 5 years ago, I was playing junior hockey, and 5 or 6 years ago, and it's sort of been a tough road, but I'm here, and it's just great, and it's nice to be playing for the Buffalo Sabres.
I was wondering where you were when that 12-6 game was turned in by this team.
Well, I was in my last year junior, and I just caught a period or two, but I was pretty impressed by the Russians, and I know the Sabres played really well that game, and it was sort of we want to sort of keep a tradition here in Buffalo that anytime we play the Russians or the Czechs, we're going to be the winners.
Anything about them surprise you at all in the game?
Well, we watched the films from New York and the game in Montreal, and we knew that they do quite a bit of back passing in center ice, and the game plan was not to run after him, wait for him to come back, and it seemed to work awful well.
You saw Tretiak out there. There's been comments that he is not playing well. I know goaltenders don't talk about other goaltenders, but any analysis of his play at all?
Well, we talked about it at the end of the first period. On Danny's goal, he got caught going down with his legs open, and then on Donnie Luce's goal, we sort of thought he got caught back in the cage, and they're both, good quick shots, but, it's a goaltender's mistake anytime you don't challenge a shooter.
Mm-hmm. See? The team was up, huh?
Well,
how was the feeling in the dressing room prior to the game?
We knew at the end of the second period that we really had to go up, but before the game, we were all gung-ho because we really wanted to win it.
Well, it was a good win. I think a well-earned one as well, and I think there's going to be a few extra Cokes tonight.
Well, I think so. The guys are pretty happy, and they're in the dressing room celebrating. They're pretty good.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, Don Edwards, who is the Molson International Award winner in this game, quickly recapping it. The final shots on goal in the game, by the way, 32-21 in favor of the Sabres as they opened it up in that final period, outshooting the Soviet Union by just quickly doing mathematics, 15-6. So 15-6, the shots on goal advantage for the Sabres in that third period when they walked away with it, outscoring the Sabres by a 4-1 margin in that third period. So the final score then was 6-1 favor the Buffalo Sabres. Let's go upstairs now and get a little more analysis on this hockey game with Bernie and Tom.
Okay, Ron, and chatting with Scotty Bowman prior to the game, he says the key is staying in position. Discipline will be the big factor in the game, and you couldn't ask for a more disciplined hockey club, Tom, than the way the Buffalo Sabres handled the Soviet Red Army tonight.
Well, I think the discipline was shown just early in that third period where Valderas, when he brought the Soviet team to 2-1, after the Soviet official would not call any kind of penalty at all, I thought that right after that, the discipline certainly of the team coming back and bringing a goal in the next shift, really, with Smith scoring. Here we have Valderas' goal, bring the Soviets to 2-1, and that happened with their goaltender out on the delayed penalty. But here we have the Buffalo team coming right back. Gare with the shot, just breaking to the net. Here is McKechnie just tipping it in front to Smith, and that was a very important goal. I thought that was really the turning point of the game because it was 2-1 at that point. That put them ahead 3-1, and so quickly after the Soviets scored their goal, I think that's a very, very important goal. Now here we see Gare just winding up inside, and Tretiak way out to cut the angle down, but a seemingly innocent shot seemed to go underneath his pads and into the net. I don't think Tretiak had one of his better nights, certainly in goal today. Now here we have the goal by Sealing. We see Perreault throwing it right out into the slot, and there we have Sealing just shooting all in one motion, but it went in the short side. He had more room on the far side, but Tretiak couldn't get his glove up in the short side, and really, short side goals like that really hurt you a great deal, and goaltenders should really be able to stop that. You're usually supposed to take that short side away, make them shoot to the far side, and then move to stop the puck.
What about the Soviets, Tom? In the late stages of that third period, they just seemed to give up. Once the Sabres got in front, when they scored that fifth goal, 5-1, the Soviet team simply going through the motions, and that was about it.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. With 3 or 4 seconds left in the hockey game, they chased the loose puck, but they let Richard Martin get to it early, just throw it to Sealing in front of the net, and they scored the 6th goal with 4 seconds left. But here we see Richard Martin just digging for the puck, throwing it out. They just stopped here. The defenseman Gamayev in front of the net didn't try to check Sealing, and it's 6-1. But I've never seen a Soviet team just completely collapse in the third period. They're outshot 15-5, and I really feel that the Buffalo came on, showed great condition, and the Soviets are the guys that are supposed to be in great shape. And the same thing happened in Montreal. In the third period of both those games, the Canadian teams came on at the end. The Canadian team in Montreal and the Buffalo team tonight came on, and I think that it was their condition and their hustle and their determination in the third period that won both of those hockey games.
Well, it's a team game, and Don Edwards picked as the star for Buffalo, but you go down that list, Danny Gare, inspiration as far as the captain, the leadership, a couple of goals, Sealing, McKechnie, Korab. You go down the list, Tom, it was a complete team effort by the Sabres defeating Red Army. And now it's on to Quebec, and they have a game Sunday against Quebec Nordique.
Well, I can remember the last time Quebec Nordiques, when they were playing in the World Hockey Association, when the Soviet national team went in, there was a game that we did where Quebec won the game 6-1 and completely dominated the Soviet national team. That was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm sure the fans in Quebec are looking forward to having a repeat of that performance at the end of the week.
Well, many have been impressed with the play of Quebec, and especially on Sunday night. They have quite a home record going, and we're all looking forward to that game coming up against the Central Red Army. And I would expect a different performance from the Red Army from the one we saw here tonight.
Well, I think that they've got to give themselves a shake. I don't think there's any question about that. I'm sure that Coach Tikhonov was upset. I saw him there giving his charges what for at certain points in the hockey game, and I know Mikhailov, the captain, wasn't happy with other performances, and I think really the Soviet team didn't play a very good game, and I think they were forced not to play a good game, not taking anything away from Buffalo by the excellent work that the Buffalo team showed tonight.
Right, Tom, and now let's go back downstairs, and here's Ron Roosh.
Well, we've got the kindly head coach here right now. Scotty, congratulations, first of all, on the victory. Tell me something. Is this as good a team as came over here 4 years ago?
Well, it's hard to tell. There's a lot of the same players, but I think it's like anything else. The first time a team comes over, they had a lot to prove. and then they came over again, and this is the third time they've come over. And of course, we're seeing more of them. I think when they did come over, they were well prepared for us.
About the game plan, you came up with a great one 4 years ago when you were with the Canadians. Looks like you struck again. The boys did everything I suspect that you wanted them to do.
Well, we got real good goaltending in the first period. I think it proves one thing: a team can, we're still a good league, and our teams play well together, and we're not really made for the all-star concept, which is pretty tough on our league, and I think that was proved last year. And whereas the Soviets, they gear up 3 or 4 times a year with their all-star teams, and I think their league is just a sort of a forerunner to the all-star games that they play, and the Izvestia tournament and the World Championships. But I thought, I talked to Bill Torrey in New York, and we saw the Montreal game, and I think we just tried to do the same things, be a little patient, and we thought if we were patient, we could come on in the third period. And of course, we didn't expect, the Soviets to not come up with as many scoring chances in the third period. But I think our team was really skating right through the game.
Scotty, good luck on the rest of the schedule.
Thank you.
Scotty Bowman, the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres. The final score then 6-2. The Sabres beating the Central Red Army. And so on behalf of the CTV network and the sponsors who have brought you Super Series 80, this is Ron Roosh for all the telecast crew bidding you a good evening. And we remind you to join us on Sunday night for game number 5 of Super Series 80, which will come to you live from Quebec City.
The Soviet Central Red Army in exhibition with teams of the National Hockey League. Live on CTV, Super Series 80. Brought to you by Olsen, Canada's name in beers since 1786. Brewers of Molson Canadian Lager Beer. Teams of the NHL in exhibition with the Soviet Union. This is the CTV Television Network.